At the Fan Rochester, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan Rochester.
Always live on the free Odyssey app.
The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
Today is Friday.
Mark Pope is Kentucky's new men's basketball coach.
I'm a Mark Pope fan. BBN gets an incredible leader of men.
Mike Danger.
We'll keep tabs on round 2 of the Masters as well.
Now go watch the Masters.
Yeah, come on, Tiger.
Gene Battaglia.
We're going to focus a lot on the draft here. We are only 13 days away here from the NFL draft, and we'll talk about these wide receivers that Buffalo may be selecting.
The Buffalo Bills select
Tom Brady. You're the real deal.
Let's go!
Amerks Belleville, tonight at 7.
Rochester has its magic number down to 1. Playoffs?
They haven't lost since he came into the sports bar, and we shared a bourbon here. These are facts.
Well, I might have to come in again a couple times just to make sure, and maybe even have some effect gamers along the way.
I'll drink to that.
The Sabres win the home finale.
What they decide with Don Cannata.
Frozen 4.
Denver and BC, they'll play for the NCAA men's hockey title tomorrow.
I'm a Pio. I'm a Denver Pioneer at heart, so I'll be rooting for the Pioneers.
95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
Hey, good afternoon to you. We welcome you on in to the Sports Bar. Danger and Battaglia, ready to start your sports weekend on the Fan Rochester. Appreciate you listening locally on 95.7 FM or AM 950, the free to download Odyssey app on your smart device when you ask it to play 95.7 The Fan. You can even get us on YouTube, our YouTube channel, The Fan Rochester, and we're streaming at twitch.com/The Fan Rochester as well. I'm Danger, that's Battaglia.
Yeah, we get back really to kind of sports. Yesterday kind of felt more like a history lesson. You realize how much time has passed yesterday. So, I mean, if you've got thoughts on OJ, fine, but I think I think the world has moved on. And the one takeaway, Danger, is I thought in the sports takeosphere we would have had somebody say, and prop him up for his on-field accomplishments. But I think there's hope in the world. We all kind of handled that the right way yesterday.
Yeah, sure. I mean, was there a wrong way to handle it? I guess the only wrong way to handle it would be to try and defend a guy who everybody believes was guilty of murder but got away with it. And I feel like I saw, I mean, I feel even though what he allegedly did was horrible, I do feel for the family, those closest to him, because they lost a loved one, and you never want to have to go through that grieving, and that's a tough thing for anybody. The Goldman family put out their statement, and it was, it was what you would expect. Like they'll never have
the ultimate justice.
They'll never have their justice. They'll never have closure, real closure, and know that. So yeah, I mean, I miss Norm Macdonald more than I miss OJ, to be honest with you. Like, that was my reminder yesterday. I'm like, oh yeah, Norm Macdonald's gone too, and God, he really went into OJ hard. That was just an unbelievable barrage for a long, sustained period of time where Norm Macdonald on Saturday Night Live showed absolutely no mercy to Orenthal. But
did you see that note from Tim Graham yesterday?
Oh, that they were trying to get together to play golf.
Yeah.
I did see that.
So Tim Graham is really the only guy from Western New York who was in contact with OJ. I don't want to say befriended OJ. He's just doing his job as a journalist. So he, from time to time, Tim would, be the one who would be communicating with him. But OJ at one point showed a DM. It's funny to think OJ with DMs or whatever, and it was from Norm Macdonald basically saying, hey, you want to play golf? Let's let bygones be bygones. They couldn't hook up, but OJ had accepted an invitation to have an appearance on his podcast.
Yeah.
But then Macdonald dies.
Yeah. I think Norm was just looking for a bit. You know what I'm saying? Like, let bygones be bygones, sure, but also just like, hey, man, realize that it was just a bit. Like, I have no way of judging what you like. It's a bit. The whole thing was a bit. I was just doing my job, writing jokes. You are the biggest story in the world, and I wrote jokes about it. Bygones be bygones. You could take offense if you want, but
okay, bygones be bygones. Would you have any guilt if you were Norm Macdonald? I wouldn't. Like, why? I don't need to have any association with OJ.
I stumbled across something in my feed the other day. I thought it was interesting. Jim Rowe made an appearance on some podcast, and they were recalling the infamous Chris Everett interview.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
When Everett, Jim Everett, the former Rams quarterback flipped the table and went after Rome. And he mentioned that he had tried for years to get Everett back on the show to let bygones be bygones, and Everett wouldn't do it. And I'm like, I guess that makes sense too. Like, I don't know that there's a right or wrong way to handle it. Like, if Norm Macdonald reaches out to OJ and OJ doesn't respond, I wouldn't think any less of OJ.
And I think less of Jim Everett for doing that, because that's one where I think you let bygones be bygones, because you're not dealing with a double murder. You're dealing with a young Jim Rome at the time who made a big mistake pushing the button, not realizing that would kind of happen.
Right. Jim Rome, to this day, will admit it was a bad day. I had a bad day at work. I didn't want to be known for that in that moment of time, and that didn't make me, but that was a bad day. And, whatever guilt and remorse he was feeling for pushing those buttons and pushing Everett to the breaking point, Everett doesn't have to explain himself. He doesn't have to come back on, and he doesn't have to do Jim Rome any favors either. So I guess I don't know that there's a right or wrong way. Like, if you're OJ and Norm Macdonald says, hey, bygones be bygones, and you say, I don't even need to respond to this guy, I would be fine with that too. But the fact that they were in communication is kind of funny. And I love that Tim Graham, shared that with us, a little morsel with us, that the two of them were actually working to get together, and that podcast would have gotten some attention. It would have gotten some ears.
Would have gotten a lot of attention. But then again, I don't know if OJ was the person. What was weird, Dangerous? Going home and explaining this to my son about Norberg. like people don't even know.
No,
you're taught this in school now, but it's not what we experience. They have no idea.
And Nordberg, if you go back and watch The Naked Gun, it's one of those movies, or the series, it doesn't hold up, right? Like, there's so many like jokes and things that happen in some of these older movies from the 80s that when you go back and watch them now, like, whatever you do, don't go and watch the original Bad News Bears. It just doesn't hold up.
What 12-year-olds drinking beer at the end?
It just doesn't hold up.
Walter Matthau, hitting the girl? What? It doesn't hold up? No.
None of it holds up. Like, a good movie, good art holds up over time. You can watch a good movie. You can watch The Godfather, and it still holds up. It's art. It's a good movie.
What, Walter Matthau drinking and driving?
No. Didn't hold up. Didn't hold up. Doesn't hold up.
Actually, I just watched the Bad News Bears last week. It is on all the time on Major League Baseball Network. Hey, no game. Let's put on the Bad News Bears.
The original or Billy Bob Thornton version?
Oh, no. The original. You have to watch the original.
Yeah. The Billy Bob Thornton one didn't really resonate with me. I don't think I made it to that one.
No.
Bad News Bears in Breaking Training was the one that got more rotation in my life.
Oh, okay.
The one where they go to the Astrodome, let them play. Yeah.
Let them play.
That one with Kelly Leak. What a late 70s, early 80s bad boy, right? Like, teenager rolling up on his dirt bike, smoking cigarettes during practice. Whoa, that's the guy you want to be the leader of your squad, the emotional leader of your team.
Yeah, and as a kid, you're watching this. There's Kelly Leak driving the van, and the cop is driving by. Like, oh, he got over the cop.
Yeah. Again, probably doesn't hold up in today's world, but I watched the hell out of that movie when I was younger.
No, the first one definitely does not. Vic Morrow was the Yankees manager in that. Vic Morrow was also the guy who was killed in the Twilight Zone movie. Did you ever hear that story?
I don't know that I know that story.
Yeah, the Twilight Zone movie from the early 80s. They're doing a flashback scene to Vietnam, and they have a helicopter, and the helicopter kind of kills him and two children.
Jeez.
So
on the set?
On the set, yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah, no, OSHA wasn't a thing back in Hollywood back then. It's like, oh, I'm sorry.
That's part of the reason why we have that now. That's good. Great show lined up for you this afternoon as we get you ready for your sports weekend in the Flower City. Yeah. Ryan Talbot, NewYorkUpstate.com, is stopping by the sports bar later this afternoon. What I love about Ryan this time of year and every year at this time, he does a great job just tracking who the Buffalo Bills are taking in for their top 30 visitors.
Yeah. My question to Ryan is, like, who do we know that the Bills took in that they didn't have a visit? Like, under Brandon Beane, is this data we can kind of pull? Coming in today, Ladies and gentlemen, Keon Coleman from Florida State.
Sure.
Would he be there at 30? 30? What am I talking about? 28?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, honestly, top 30 visit there. Bill's picking at 28. So we'll ask Ryan, okay, who has come in? Any noteworthy names that have not come in?
Oregon wide receiver Troy Franklin was just here the last couple of days. I mean, like, the wide receiver list alone is worth exploring when we get to Ryan here later this afternoon. So a lot of great names on this top 30 visits list. Ryan's doing a great job tracking it all, and we'll get you further prepared for the NFL draft and what the Buffalo Bills might be doing there with the 28th overall pick in the first round. Later this hour, joining us in studio, Andrew Moss-Brooks, who you can hear with Don Stevens, Rochester Americans.
Yeah. Dandelion wasn't sure if he was going to go to the game tonight or not. We should ask him. Dandelion.
Oh, yeah. What happened, super fan? You don't want to go to the game?
Yeah, because
cheer on your Senators?
No, because we shamed him, basically. Like, if you saw Dandelion in his Ottawa gear, like, tonight, and that was the thing, like, no, I'm cheering for Belleville over Rochester. Get out of here with that. Like, I was thinking, would Seth be in a playful mood on Tuesday? And I'm thinking, I don't know. Like, what would you say to the Rochesterian that cheers for the favorite NHL team over your hometown team?
Interesting, right? Like, let's put it this way with Seth Appert. He's been in Rochester long enough now where he could say, like, hey, Rochester's like, it's kind of like home, right? Like, if RIT was playing Denver, he would probably still root for Denver, right? Maybe different because he worked there.
Yeah, that doesn't.
No, it's not apples to apples. I just think that there are rules for your minor league sports fandom. That there are rules. You just because you're a fan of the minor league sports team doesn't necessarily mean you have to be a fan of the parent club.
That's 100% true. Like, I don't give two damns about the Washington Nationals, and I don't know too many people that do. Although I know that the sister of the owner lives out in Victor. That's 100% accurate that the Washington Nationals have roots somewhere in the area here. But and rule number 2, if you're just kind of like, hey, I haven't been paying attention to the Amherst, there's no shame in, oh, you're a bandwagon fan. No. These rosters turn over so much in every minor league as compared to a major league team. If you're just kind of wading back into the pool right now, that's fine. Like, for the Red Wings, could you name 2 Rochester Red Wings now? I couldn't. Like, I learned some guy named James Wood yesterday hit 2 home runs. Great. Awesome. It's okay to cheer for the uniform when you don't necessarily.
What's his name? James Wood?
Yes.
Like the actor?
Yeah. No, that's James Woods.
Oh, this is James Wood. Oh, James Wood's my new favorite Rochester Red Wing. I'm rooting for him. Hope he gets the call, but not too soon. Let's have a run here in Rochester. I'm curious more so about postseason reinforcements for the Rochester Americans. You know, when, if at any point, will we see Matty Savoy? Will we see any crossover between the Sabres and the Amherst? I don't know that there's a lot that can be done here.
I don't think, and Andrew can kind of fill us in here, I don't think beyond Devin Levi there was anybody on the Clear Day roster that can go back here. So.
But then I think of guys like Savoy, who we did see last year.
Right.
Will we see him this year at the end of his junior season? So we'll get into all of that with Andrew Moss-Brooks, our buddy, joining us here in about 10-15 minutes or so in the Sports Bar, live in studio. You can pull up a stool and join us at 866-4FAN, 585-866-4326, and also on Elon's Twitter, that's X, at the Fan Rochester.
The table is set.
The table is set. So, yeah, we mentioned it, and we'll talk more about this with Talbot when he joins us. Some of these wide receivers that have come in, Troy Franklin was here from the 10th through the 11th, so he just left yesterday, taking a top 30 visit with the Bills, and he's projected to be a second, third round wide receiver type talent. And you had the Florida State wide receiver in today. Just this list of wide receivers that the Bills have taken visits with. If you want to kind of connect dots, boy, it sure seems like there'll be more than one selected. There probably should be more than one selected when you consider how many draft picks the Bills have. And I'm curious as to who Ryan has kind of planted his flag in, saying that's the guy that makes the most sense for the Buffalo Bills in the scenario where they stay put at 28.
I've learned over the years, Danger, it's hard for us on the outside to kind of evaluate, like, a lot of the draft community, not all of them, but it's kind of a group think. groupthink thing, meaning, hey, one opinion and we all kind of weigh in on the boards, but then you realize when you get to draft night that everybody's board is completely different. Everybody's doing their own individual evaluation. So when it comes to which wide receiver the Buffalo Bills should select out of this group, I'm going to kind of reserve judgment. I mean, I know they're taking one, and I think if you're a Bills fan, you just have to have blind faith. And you may be saying, hey, I don't want Mitchell because I heard this about him, or, McConkey's not a good fit. Look, this is where you have to say Brandon Beane, by and large, and his staff do a good job. That being said, I'm still not over Kyer Elam. They needed a corner that year, and they completely whiffed on that. And part of the reason was that the Chiefs jumped them and that the Bills just went to the next guy on the board. So don't reach. That would be my thing. And my thing is also prepare to trade up. This talk that has surfaced here in the last week about, hey, the Bills could trade down. They could trade down. Of course, they could do anything. But I don't expect them to. We're trading down might make sense for a lot of teams. I think the Bills are still on the cusp. They have not a need now. They have a glaring need for a number one receiver. Holy cow. Can any of these guys, and maybe that would be the question to Ryan, like which guy would be the most ready today? I would listen to that if you wanted to say, hey, the guy, Thomas from LSU, guy that you could bring in today, like who would be that guy? Somebody that can help you win games in 2024, but maybe ultimately isn't the best prospect because there may be somebody that needs a little more time.
The other thing, and we touched on this briefly yesterday, the other thing to kind of keep an eye on here as far as how the board falls to the Buffalo Bills and who could be in a position to move around a little bit, pay attention to what happens next week as the NFL kind of opens up their doors once again for workouts, voluntary workouts. The Chiefs have a decision to make here as far as what to do with their wide receiver, and Rashee Rice, who faces 8 felony charges, turned himself in. I want to say he was released on, $40,000 bond, I want to say. But the Chiefs can ultimately say, you know what, you got a lot going on, stay away. He could still be put on the commissioner's exempt list at some point, which is paid leave.
Does Andy Reid do that?
Tell him to not show up?
Or like Andy Reid is kind of like, I don't want to say he's Al Davis, but just as long as Al Davis was always like, as long as you're there on Sunday.
It's not unprecedented. They did this with Tyreek Hill 5 years ago. And they basically told him, while there was an investigation on, remember Tyreek's son's broken arm?
Oh my gosh, I forgot about that.
Yeah. That was 5 years ago. And they both mutually agreed to leave the offseason workouts on the table. He didn't go. And no one was prosecuted for that crime. They just decided at that time he should probably stay away while that all played out. So if Rice isn't there, I think, that's, and let's face it, Rice, as the season went on last year,
was a number one.
He started to look the part of a number one wide receiver, which is a little bit scary when you consider what that offense already is, and what he could be if he does return to that offense. But the Chiefs they are in the market for more wide receivers, and they might be a team that could actually do it again and leapfrog the Bills again and get the guy that the Bills want and scoop the guy that Brandon Beane has his eyes on. Worth paying attention to next week as the offseason workout programs begin for the NFL.
Well, do you cut your losses if you're Rice here? Meaning, how good are your lawyers? I'm assuming that the Chiefs are going to help you out, or you already helped yourself out with the best representation possible. And when it gets time to making a plea deal, if that's the way you want to go, all right, so maybe you plea out and you're just going to have to pay a fine, avoid jail time, but oops, the NFL conduct policy comes into play. So would that be the best course of action to miss some time, whether that's 2 games, 4 games? To me, the offseason stuff, it's not a Francesa. We focus on that because that's kind of what's going on in the NFL. But for Patrick Mahomes and Rice and the rest of that offense, if he's not there until training camp, so be it. I think they'll be just fine. The question is, will he actually miss any time? And the way this is kind of trending, Danger, I'm thinking, yeah. And for those that say, the NFL schedule, you guys make too much of it when the schedule release.
Yeah.
No, we don't. Like, if this ends up happening for Kansas City, which teams will the Chiefs face without, right now, their number one wide receiver, if it indeed goes that way? Yeah. Like when the Buffalo Bills, hey, they caught a break years ago with Rex Ryan. Hey, we're facing the Patriots. And, hey, it's not Tom Brady at quarterback. It's Jacoby Brissett. And the Bills actually shut out New England. It counts, but should it? Well, he was back the following week. So, yes, the NFL schedule indeed does matter. Also, feeling a little kind of empty here. Normally next week would be the week where the schedule was released. At least that was up until a couple years ago. When the NFL, to their credit, Danger, I would say, kind of wised up. Like, yeah, you know what? You have enough to talk about. And you're going to talk about more about the draft. Continue to talk about the draft. Spread around false rumors. Draft. We want to focus on the draft. When the draft is over, rookie minicamps are over, that's when we'll give you the release in the month of May. We don't need to put out the schedule now in May because you know what? You're already buying your tickets. So let's win the news cycle some rando month in May here.
Yeah, that's right. Like we say, it's a 12-month-a-year news cycle in the NFL. There isn't really many down weeks where there's not something going on. And from now until the end of the month, we'll be talking plenty of NFL draft as that happens here in Detroit. Coming up, what is it, the 27th?
No, it's the 25th.
25th?
Yeah,
13 days. All screwed up. Yeah. 13 days away.
Yeah.
So that'll be we're less than 2 weeks away. So that will be, let's see, Thursday of the draft, round 1. We are going to be live. 3 Heads Brewing on Atlantic Avenue. The Sports Bar live from 3 to 6. And then Friday, day 2 of the NFL draft, we will be live at the Tap Room at Bill Gray's, Chili Avenue location. A couple of our favorite spots. We will be broadcasting the show live from 3 until 6. Look forward to seeing you out. And we can talk plenty of NFL draft and react to round 1 of the NFL draft on that Friday.
We can share a cold one and maybe a win or two.
Looking forward to that coming up here now less than 2 weeks away. Big action at Blue Cross Arena this weekend. The Amber's got a nice little home stretch here down the stretch. What is it? 4 of the last 5 games, I want to say, are at Blue Cross Arena, and that starts tonight and tomorrow night with Belleville in town. All the action here on your proud home of Amherst hockey, the Fan Rochester, and Andrew Mossbrooks stops by next to talk some more Rochester Americans.
Yeah, so the Amherst, not only are they going to clinch, you would figure, this week, and all they need is the 1 point, but how big a difference is it first to second to third? Certainly it is a difference third to fourth, and what reinforcements may be on the way.
Yeah, we'll get into all of that with Mossbrooks next. You're on the Fan Rochester. It's playoff time. It's coming in the NBA. It's coming in the NHL. We've got baseball now in full swing, and FanDuel is your place to bet on every game. It's me, Danger, for FanDuel Sportsbook, official partner of 95.7 The Fan. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $150, win or lose. And you can bet on everything from slap shots to home runs to slam dunks, all on an app that is safe, secure, and easy to use. What are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com/Mike, FanDuel.com/Mike, M-I-K-E, and make your first bet an automatic win. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. 21 plus and physically present in New York. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369.
Odyssey has sports for every fan. Keep up with your favorite teams from across the country and get the inside scoop from experts. AUDACY. Odyssey.
At AirQuip, we are your home comfort specialists.
Straight up with no chaser. You're in the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
The message will not be about playoffs at all. The message will be, let's do everything we can to give ourselves the best chance to win one game against Belleville on Friday. That's it.
Amherst head coach Seth Appert earlier this week here in the Sports Bar. It's Danger and Battaglia. We're glad you're with us, and we welcome in Andrew Mossbrooks, who you'll hear on the call tonight as the Amherst host Belleville at Blue Cross Arena. Andrew will be on the call with the great Don Stevens. Andrew, thanks for making time for us again this afternoon.
No, thank you guys for having me. Happy to be here and talk a little bit of hockey.
All right, so can you settle something for us here in our Sports Bar world? Our producer, Dan, big Ottawa Senators fan, and I think he commits a grave sports sin, meaning that does not cross over.
He's a Senators fan.
Okay, that.
Tough times for them.
How could you root for the affiliate, the Belleville Senators, over your local hometown team? I'm sorry. The Amherst should supersede everything. Like, if you are... I'm a Met fan. I would never root for the Syracuse Mets. I'm rooting for the local team here. So the best way I think we can get Dan to change his behavior is actually to kind of shame him and other people like
It's
him.
despicable.
Is that what I'm brought into to do here? Just to shame somebody?
Yeah, that's right.
I don't know. It's very difficult for me because it's like, okay, it's the genesis of how did you become a blank fan, right? Like, I became a Phillies fan, a Flyers, Sixers, Eagles fan because my dad's side of the family were extremely passionate Philly sports fans. I've never lived in Philadelphia. I've gone hundreds of times, but like, that's my association. And then it's hard because if you're not going to be a Syracuse Mets fan, like I kind of get it. But at the same time, like, what if your top prospect in your organization is playing for Syracuse? Like, how do you not want to root for him and watch his progression to eventually play in Citi Field?
Okay, so Philadelphia brings up somebody from is it still the... I'm losing track here.
So
Lehigh Valley is the...
If we're talking baseball, well, actually hockey too. Hockey too, yeah. Lehigh Valley Phantoms.
Yeah, Lehigh Valley Phantoms. Like, they have some prospect. Like, you're not rooting for Lehigh Valley, the Phantoms, over the Amherst.
I mean, you're putting me in a position where I have to say I can't do that, and I wouldn't. I did think it was really cool, though. My first game without Don was against Lehigh Valley, so I thought that was neat because I interned there. But, like, if I'm not... this is a conversation alone I could take like 30 minutes to talk to you about because I have so many different opinions about, like...
We have time, Andrew.
I don't know. Like, it's... For me, growing up, I struggled getting into, like, take baseball, for example. I struggled getting into minor league baseball. I was interested because at the time I got into the Phillies, they were terrible. Like, we're talking like post Ryan Howard, Chase Utley, Carlos Ruiz, all those guys. So their prospects, who, by the way, almost none of them panned out, were in Lehigh Valley, but I still was like, I don't know, I still want to see the Major League Baseball game. Like, I want to see that. So, yeah, I wouldn't be like waving my Lehigh Valley Phantoms flag that I don't own legitimately. But I don't know.
There are rules to minor league sports fandom. I think that's fair to say, right?
That's fair.
So, like, I'm a Blackhawks guy, and let's play this out and say that the Amherst are in the AHL finals. They're playing for the Calder Cup, and they're facing the Rockford Ice Hogs. I'm not going to cheer for Rockford. I'm in Rochester.
Yeah. I don't know. I see both sides. Like, I genuinely see both sides. And
this is the wrong answer, Andrew. I'm sorry. You're coming in.
I'm giving you an in-between answer.
No.
No, we don't like hedgers. We want you have to have a take.
Well, okay, hold on. I'll add this part. I think if you're somebody who's either from Rochester or have spent the bulk of your life here, then I don't know how you can't identify with the teams in your city. Does that make sense?
I think that's where we have the disconnect here with Dan DeLorean. I just don't think he wants to identify with the Rochester team. I think he prefers to identify with Belleville for some reason.
I also think it would be more fun, like as a baseball fan, okay, let's simulate. If I'm here in 40 years and I've been here from now till year 40, I don't see myself wanting to go out of my way to not like the Rochester Red Wings because I actually would appreciate the convenience that I have a pro baseball team in the town I live in. Yeah. So therefore, I'll support them.
That's right.
Yeah, Andrew Mossbrooks, our guest. Since you came in last, we did have Seth Appert in studio last. And he kind of told us a story where, I don't know, I forget the context, Danger, but he was busting your chops. That means you're kind of accepted here, Andrew.
I like to think that. Yeah, I watched I don't know if it was this week. I watched one of his recent appearances with you guys, and my name got mentioned, and I was nervous for like what he was going to say, but I mean, yeah, I appreciate it. Like, I have fun with those guys. I was on the trip with them to Providence and Bridgeport over the weekend, and I was feeling under the weather. I'm good now, but those guys kept things lighthearted at times where it's nice to be lighthearted when you're miserable because you don't feel great.
Absolutely. Andrew, tell us a little bit about the opponent here, Belleville. I mean, there's not a lot of secrets between these North Division opponents given how often they play each other, but these are an important set of games here for the Amerks and a chance to clinch with a win tonight.
Yeah, I was talking briefly with Don before I actually drove over here, and it's like there's the two teams, so they're the hottest teams in the North Division because the Amerks have won 6 straight, Belleville's won 4 straight, but they're still in very different situations. Like Rochester needs 1 point to secure a playoff berth. I don't think Apps would like me saying this, but I feel very good about their chances. I think he doesn't like to put the cart before the horse, but with Belleville on the other side, like even with this win streak, they could lose both games this weekend and be sitting on the outside of the playoffs. They could be in last place in the North Division if they get swept in regulation both these games. So I think they're a good team. Every time I've watched them against the Amerks, I actually think you could argue this is the team that gives the Amerks the most fits. These are going to be important games, not just because it's not even just for the Amerks, like clinching a playoff spot right now. It's you're 1 point back at first. So winning the division in the regular season is totally within possibility, and you're playing a team that's going to play their most desperate hockey of the season.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because how many times and how many ways we try to ask Seth Thapper the question about the standings and everything else, and he flicks it away like a bug. Yeah. He doesn't want anything, but how does he really not care about first place? Does it not matter from this standpoint, Andrew? Like, you could say, hey, second place, you get Cleveland. What in this division, what's the difference between first place and playing the 4-5 winner? It's not a lot. Maybe the home ice when you get to the semifinal.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't to answer your the direct question. I was hanging out with we have an assistant video guy, Tones, on the bus, and we were talking after the game in Bridgeport, and we're probably 2-3 rows back of Apps, who's sitting at the front of the bus. And we were talking standings, and we're like, okay, well, like if Laval does this, and like Utica's playing Providence Friday night, and Apps was like turned around, and he's like, stop talking about standings. So he did it in like a tongue-in-cheek way, but I think it was also genuine. Like he's like, hey, we don't need to talk about this right now. So I don't know that he cares as much about where they finish. It's how they finish. Like you're on a 6-game win streak with 5 games left in the regular season. I don't know if you can go on an 11-game heater, but if you do, you feel probably pretty good about yourself regardless of where the standings say you are, as long as there's an X next to your name.
Yeah, you want to be playing your best hockey at this time of year, and the Amerks certainly look like they're doing that, and they've had a great second half of the season here. We're talking with Andrew Mossbrooks, who you'll hear on the call tonight, along with Don Stevens, 7 o'clock, as the Amerks host the Belleville Senators. And the team isn't going to look at the standings. They're not going to look beyond the game that's in front of them tonight, Andrew. But we, as fans and people that watch the team and cover the team, we can look ahead, and we can think about what the postseason is going to look like for this team, and we can think about what that roster might look like for this team. Now, if we're not mistaken, I think Levi was the only one that was on the Clear Day roster from Buffalo, or is there anybody else? Are there any other reinforcements that we could be seeing here for the postseason to help the Amerks in that push for that Calder Cup?
Yeah, Lukáš Rusak could come back down, and I don't know this. I would assume he will when the Sabres regular season ends. And at the time that he left, he was the team's leading scorer. No longer is because he's been up for a while. He went on a torrid run earlier in this year from January and February, had a crazy point streak, and he's such a crafty playmaker, so he makes the guys around him better and opens them up and allows them to kind of, I think, explore their creativity offensively. Are there going to be a ton of reinforcements? No, I think he's really the only main one, but when you look at what the team has, they're stacked, man, and there's going to be guys, reinforcements internally once you get guys like Joseph Ciccone and Tyson Kozak and Brett Murray back from injury, which you anticipate you will. This is a dangerous team, and by the way, on top of it, like they've lost those guys a couple games ago, they're still winning. So I just said this today, like it is crazy how many guys at times this year have been out of the lineup. We're not talking like a guy that's going to play 5 minutes. We're talking key players, top contributors that could lead the charge any given night. They're out. Sometimes there's 3 or 4 of them that are out. And this team still finds ways to win. It's crazy.
We're talking to Andrew Mossbrooks. He'll be on the call tonight with Don Stevens, 7 o'clock tonight, 5 o'clock tomorrow. Was listening to your call on Saturday. I'm like, oh, hey, they're up 2-0. Yeah, all right. And then it ended up being Harry at the end. But, hey, the one player that you pointed out in that broadcast, and I think having a team that could go potentially deep in the playoffs, you need these veteran guys. What about the guy who scored the second goal there, Mason Yops? What kind of season he's having? And what does it say about or the organization here that, hey, you traded away and he still decided to come back to Rochester?
Yeah, I really, really like Yabo. Talked with him today. I'm not going to be able to give his story full justice in this conversation, partly because I can't remember one particular name he gave me, but we did a story on him on Amherst.com a couple weeks ago, basically saying, like, how did you get as good as you are right now? Because there was a time, not long ago, 4 or 5 years is not a lot of time, where Mason Yops was being looked at as a fringe player, bottom six, in and out of the lineup. When guys come down, you're not taking that guy out of the lineup anymore. And that comes from relentless work ethic, constant training. The one thing that I thought was really neat, and again, I don't want to butcher the name, so I won't. He sees somebody in Toronto that helps him over the summer with visual and brain training, with the idea to help you neurologically get to a point where you can process the game at approximately 5 times its pace, its live pace. Those are his words. So the idea is that if you can do that, your body's going to follow. Your body is going to follow those neural signals going to the the arms and the legs and whatnot. And so that's resulted in things because his ability to track the game now and anticipate a play, it's second to none on our team. And yeah, it's cool that Sunday in Bridgeport, the team that was looking at him and going, yeah, you're not going to make the lineup tonight. You're not going to make the lineup this weekend. We'll play you half the season 5 years ago, is the team he gets his team leading 20th goal with the Amherst against his former team.
This is a player that we talked to Coach Appert about earlier in the week, Andrew, and I wanted to get your take on Anton Wahlberg and what contribution he's made here in a short amount of time.
Yeah, I like him a lot, and Apps and I talked about it too. Like, we just did a story on him as well, Amherst.com. I keep plugging it whenever I can. Yeah, like when you're 18 years old and you're coming over to North America for the first time, because he played his junior in Sweden. That's where he's from, in Malmö, Sweden. He played a little bit of pro hockey this year in the top league over in Sweden, the SHL. So I think that helps. But you're still playing on a bigger sheet of ice. Like, if you ever see these European players come over, that's typically the biggest adjustment, because time closes in on you when there is less ice to be skated on. It's more physical. You have less time to make decisions with the puck. And he scored a huge goal Saturday in Providence because the team was down by 1. So he scores to tie it midway through. And we just talked about Mason Yops. Wahlberg's playing on a line with Yops and Michael Murph, the team captain. So I think that is a big vote of confidence being shown by Seth Appert, that you're putting a guy with your leading scorer and your captain, and he's 18 years old. Like, we were talking about how veterans are going to be big in the playoffs. I think the young bucks are going to be big too. You just never know who's going to play that critical role.
Yeah, we're talking to our buddy here, Andrew Mossbrooks. He'll be on the call with the great Don Stevens tonight, 7 o'clock, Amherst against Belleville. Topic of conversation yesterday on the show, what has been going on in Buffalo here and how this got to this. And look, I'm going to kind of tell everybody you work for the organization, so I'm not going to put you in a bad spot here, but one of the topics you hear this, like, Don Granato, should he be back or should he not be back? I'll ask you the question this way. Like, Seth Appert, what are the chances are that there's going to be an NHL team this year? He's going to get some looks here. At what point does Seth make the jump to the NHL?
Seth shared a really interesting quote that'll probably go out tomorrow over video with us, where he said he loves coaching and he would love coaching just as much whether he's here or coaching high school hockey back in Minnesota. I know that doesn't directly answer your question, but what I say that to say that Apps is beloved in Rochester. I think he has fostered a winning culture, which we've seen over the last few seasons, and it's continuously gotten better and better. What he decides to do is his decision, and it depends on what he wants to do. And Apps has made long-term homes coaching at University of Denver, coaching at RPI. I don't I can't get in his mind and say that this is that next stop, but I do think if you are a team in the National Hockey League exploring a change, when you do that, just like any job, you begin to look at a pool of candidates. And I would have to think if that resume would come across a desk of an NHL general manager, that it would take quite a look.
Yeah, I would think that Seth also, I think there probably are opportunities for him to be an assistant, but I don't know if he would want that. And again, you can't hop inside his mind to run some power play or something like that. To me, the next step would actually be, if he wants that step, is actually go run the show up there.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, and that's the other thing. That's again going to be due to subjectivity. Because some coaches, it just depends on how you look at it. And I think that's any walk of life. I just because it's in my head, I'm thinking of it right now. I went from head broadcaster to kind of assistant broadcaster, do a little bit of everything else. And that was a decision I made. Maybe somebody else would not have made that decision. I don't know. It was what worked for me. So if somebody is a head coach in the AHL and the only opening to get to the NHL is to do assistant coach, run the power play, run the PK, do the video coach, does saying you are a coach in the National Hockey League carry enough weight for you to make that jump? Or, to your point, does it have to be head to head to head? I don't know.
Andrew, there was a nice surprise last year in the postseason when Matthew Savoy's season and juniors ended and he had the chance to play a couple of games for the Amerks. Do you get the sense that that'll happen again this year in the postseason with Matty Savoy?
I mean, I don't know. I think the one difference would be he would be more ready now because his debut was in the Eastern Conference Finals with a chance to take a team to a championship for the first time in 20 years. So I think he would be more ready. His sample size in Rochester was awesome, especially the last handful of games, which was short in general. But yeah, it's funny. You were talking about reinforcements earlier, and to be completely honest with you, that one sort of fell off my radar because it has been so long. But the depth of the Buffalo Sabres organization extends beyond the pro game.
There's a lot of prospects.
Yeah.
A lot of prospects.
So he comes in, he could make an impact. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we appreciate everybody's feedback on X here. And again, divided topic here. Steve writing in, you root for the prospects and for their development, not for their team. Rooting for Belleville in Rochester, it's asinine if you're from Rochester. Steve, absolutely correct on that. Brian taking the opposite side. I'm a Red Sox fan. I follow their farm system. When I go to Wings game, I root for the Wings, except when they play the Sox.
Wow.
Yeah, it really does depend on the fan you are too. If you're a diehard up and down the organization from single A, or you're watching them in the Gulf Coast League in Florida up to the majors, then I get it. But like I said, if I was here X amount of years from now, which I hope the organization will welcome me still, then you're going
to be Don Stevens. You're here for 50 years. 50 years, Andrew.
I have to eat better if I want to go 50 years. That's for sure.
Are you acclimating well to Rochester? How's it been so far for you within the organization in Rochester? I mean, you mentioned your roots in Pennsylvania, but I mean, you're about to enter. This will be your first postseason with the team, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, I've been lucky because all the teams I've worked for have all been pretty good. Knock on, I don't know if this probably is an actual wood, but you know what I mean? We're probably going to make it. And I've been really blessed throughout my career that all the stops I've had have been with if they win the division, then I think for the last 5 seasons I have done in hockey, the team I would work with would finish first in its division. So, yeah, maybe I'm the luck charm.
No, it's the sports bar. I mean, they haven't lost since Seth poured us some pesky.
We were talking about that. Yeah. I'll check the Gatorade bottles for you guys today to confirm what's in it. But no. To your point, I think what's cool about Rochester, I came from Cincinnati, our previous affiliate, and Cincy is very hustle and bustle. It's a big city. It's really, really cool. Definitely look forward to visiting again in the summer. But there's a little bit more of a hominess here. I think even the people I work with in previous spots, and there's nothing wrong with this, but everybody had their own lives. And so at times it felt 9 to 5-ish. Really enjoyed the people I worked with, but here they want you to be a part of their lives. they want you to meet their girlfriends or their wives or their family. And I think that's really cool. I'll give a shout out to our graphic designer, Nick Prinzing, because I had gone about 6 years not playing hockey, and he got me into an adult league nearby. So I'm playing every weekend.
What nights are you playing?
Sunday nights.
How late?
Varies between this Sunday 6:30.
Not too bad.
But yeah, sometimes a little past 9.
I was going to say during the hockey season, it might get a little bit later for you on Sunday nights.
It's been hard. There were a couple weeks ago, we had a 3:00 game here, and I did the TV broadcast with my suit coat on, but my jeans. So that way nobody would know because I wouldn't see. And then I was like, hey, I went to Warren. I was like, listen, I got a jet because I'm in now. Like, I'm invested.
Yeah. And Warren knows because he's done the same thing.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I did the job. I didn't take any shortcuts in my work, but I was like, I'm really trying to hammer out this post-game report to get on the ice. But it's really cool. Like, I hadn't played in so long. I loved the game growing up. I played, and then I moved away, and I just didn't bring my gear with me. And like, Nick went out of his way to allow me to be a part of that. And that's really cool. Like, I love the hominess. Better pizza here than Cincinnati, for sure. 100%. I love the food as well.
All right, give a plug. We're allowed to give a plug. Give a plug for your spot. Where's your plug?
Well,
I know we have the official pizza
of
the Rochester Americans. We're not going to ruffle any feathers. I mean, when you're at the arena, you're getting your Cariglios.
Yes, and I do like Cariglios genuinely.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say two things because the second one is where this conversation is going to go off the rails because people at the office that are watching would not forgive me if I don't mention this. Okay, my spot, because it's near me, is Tony Pepperoni. I love it. I think it's fantastic pizza. However, I'm supposed to preface this to everybody. I'm a little weird with my pizza. I don't like sauce on my pizza.
What?
So it's not cheesy bread. I tell people this. It's not a breadstick. I do dough, cheese, pepperoni. I will do pesto, like at home if I'm making pizza.
Okay. No sauce, no red sauce.
I don't like the red sauce.
Anti-red sauce entirely, or just on pizza? Like no pasta with marinara.
Yeah, no. Like I will not do spaghetti and meatballs. I'll do chicken Alfredo.
Whoa.
Yeah, this is typically where
not a tomato guy.
No.
So when you're traveling with
I hate
teams,
ketchup.
like, you got to eat what.
Oh, it's the worst.
Yeah,
it's the worst.
It is the worst.
Should have saw me Sunday in Bridgeport. The team had a meal that had other things that I would eat, but the staff had a bunch of boxes of pizza. And I waited and I kind of stood nearby, and then Apps went and got it was some roast beef, whatever. It was protein, red meat. And he's like, "Oh, are you going to get something, Mosser?" And I was like, I think I'll just wait until the players go. And he's like, "Just get something. Just go." Because he probably knew. And if he doesn't know, he will now. And he probably will chirp me for it. So,
dude, they're listening now.
Yeah.
You're going to be like, hey.
That was the concern today.
If we win the first round playoff, you're eating this plate of pasta with marinara.
It's just so bad, man. Like when I see a pizza bubbling at the top, like between the end of the cheese and the crust, and you've just got this mammoth amount of red sauce, it's just terrible. And my dad is a chef who specializes in Italian dishes.
Yeah.
He legitimately is. So he.
What? I love when you can find weird food quirks in people and exploit them. And now I can't think of anything other than Moss Brooks doesn't like red sauce on his pizza. He doesn't put any sauce on his pizza.
Well, Nicole at our office is kind enough to get me a personal Cariglios pizza with no sauce. So when we cater into the front office, it's all these giant boxes.
That's a breadstick, Moss Brooks.
It's not the same thing. And it's not cheesy bread. People say it's cheesy bread.
Yes.
And then they're like, "Oh, you want a white pizza?" And I'm like, "No, it's not white pizza either. Just order at Cariglios, call them up. We can call them right now on the line."
Oh, man. You know what they got to get?
Large pepperoni, no sauce.
Yeah, Warren, Apps, anybody listening in the office, you know what you got to do? You get this kid a box of Cheerios and let him just gnaw down some Cheerios because he's in his yummy phase.
Some carrots.
Yeah, I will.
What other
I'll eat them. I'll eat them with milk, just not chocolate milk.
Get your Lunchables and your Cheerios from Moss Brooks. Who won't put some red sauce on his pasta.
I don't know if I could do Lunchables either. It's a tough conversation.
Next time you're in here, we're doing what won't Moss Brooks eat. We'll have a whole list of things, and we'll run it down the list.
Let's bring out the plate of X, and we have sources in that organization.
They tricked me in Cincinnati. I'm sorry if I'm taking up too much of your guys' time because the game is what matters. But I shouldn't say they tricked me. They didn't know. I didn't know. But I went in to do a live segment with this TikTok star. And I mean star. She has millions of views on her videos. And they were like, "Hey, we got I helped facilitate it because I was doing PR, and it's there's going to be this great partnership. We're going to get all these things, and we go into a live stream that 10,000 people are on." and I didn't know we were going to be trying food. And I have like a gag reflex if I don't like the food. And they're like, oh, try it. And like, I'm not supposed to sit there and say it's terrible, right? Like, because I'm advocating for the streamer.
Right.
And I forget where the video is. I can't remember the name of the TikTok star, but like, it's legit. Like, it was out there and it was a big deal for us. Like, we sold a bunch of tickets off of it. But I went in there and I was like, I didn't know this was part of the arrangement.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
The very particular palate of Andrew Mossbrooks. Next time you're in here, we're going to play What Won't Andrew Eat. We'll do a list.
Yeah, we can do that.
We won't torture you. We won't put food that's going to make you gag in front of you. But we'll go through a list of common food, because I have a feeling if you won't do red sauce on pasta, there's probably a lot of common foods that you just won't touch.
Maybe. I mean, there's a lot of toppings I would remove or ask not to be placed on it.
On a pizza, but just food
in general.
Yeah.
Yes, in general, 100%. There's a lot of toppings that are being left at the topping bar. But hopefully next time we're talking about it, on top of the Amherst playing in the Calder Cup playoffs.
That's right.
See,
That's right.
We've seen Don here at our holiday parties, like in the past. Like he has no qualms. Like whatever's on the plate, he's eating. So you guys are a good yin and yang.
He gets me with the red sauce jokes all the time. Like, it'll be random stuff too. I'll be sitting across the wall from him, and he'll just randomly go, "Oh, you won't like that. There's red sauce on it." Like, Don, it's chicken fingers. I know there's not.
I just received a text from within the organization.
Oh, great.
We've hired a toddler, is what the text means.
I did not get this text.
Nope. Andrew Mossbrooks. You can hear him tonight on the call with Don Stevens, the yin and the yang up in the booth for the Rochester Americans. There'll be a great call tonight just after 7 o'clock with the Belleville Senators at Blue Cross Renew. We encourage you to go out there as the Amherst hope to clinch a playoff berth tonight in the Flower City. Andrew, lots of fun. Thanks for coming in and hanging out with us for a while.
Yeah, thank you guys for dealing with me.
You got it. We'll take a break. We'll come back with some takes on tap. I'll drink to that is on the way next on the Fan Rochester.
The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
Today's Friday.
Today is Friday.
Mark Pope is Kentucky's new men's basketball coach.
I'm a Mark Pope fan. BBN gets an incredible leader of men.
Mike Danger.
We'll keep tabs on round 2 of the Masters as well.
Now go watch the Masters.
Yeah, come on, Tiger.
Gene Battaglia.
We're going to focus a lot on the draft here. We are only 13 days away here from the NFL draft, and we'll talk about these wide receivers that Buffalo may be selecting.
The Buffalo Bills select
Tom Brady, you're the real deal.
Let's go!
Amerks Belleville, tonight at 7.
Rochester has its magic number down to 1.
Playoffs?
They haven't lost since he came into the sports bar, and we shared a bourbon here. These are facts.
Well, I might have to come in again a couple times just to make sure. And maybe even have some of that Amerks along the way.
I'll drink to that.
The Sabres win the home finale.
What they decide with Don Granado.
Frozen 4.
Denver and BC, they'll play for the NCAA men's hockey title tomorrow.
I'm a Pio. I'm a Denver Pioneer at heart, so I'll be rooting for the Pioneers.
95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan. Rochester.
Welcome back into the sports bar. It's Danger and Battaglia. Glad you're with us. Thanks for listening along at 95.7 FM, AM 950. The Fan Rochester and the free-to-download Odyssey app. We're streaming on Twitch. That's twitch.tv/The Fan Rochester. Don't forget about our YouTube channel. Like and subscribe at The Fan Rochester. I'm Danger. That's Battaglia.
Yeah, as we learned from Andrew Mossbrooks, great hockey conversation, but my biggest takeaway is that he eats pizza without sauce.
Won't do red sauce.
Is there any food like you won't touch? I don't know this about you.
I'm not a bean guy. Hate beans.
That's right. I remember this telling you.
Hate beans. Not a bean guy. If you're telling me that the burrito has beans in it, I will not eat it. If you're telling me that you're bringing bean dip to the party, I will escort you out. I'm not a bean guy. Can't stand beans.
They're coconut. I just cannot down coconut in any way. Like, I know coconut water was like the big thing a few years ago.
What about pina colada?
Mm-mm.
God, got to do a pina colada when I'm poolside on vacation. At least one. God, I don't know what it is. It's almost become like a tradition for me. And I'm trying to think, that might be the only coconut flavored anything that I do.
Mike Danger, I'm enjoying my pina colada down here in Florida.
That's
was that
right.
You last week?
Yes, that was last week. That was right before we left. I'm like, before we leave, I got to do this. Yeah, beans are my thing. Won't do them. Can't stand them. And that, I don't know. I mean, I'm not. I don't say no to a lot of things. Like, I'll try a lot of things. But Andrew was talking about having like a gag reflex. Like, I don't have that to any food, towards any food. And I think with beans, it's just like, I don't like the texture. For whatever reason, the texture just doesn't work for me.
Your mother was from Spain.
Right.
But the
not a lot
in
of
Spain is
not a lot of beans in the cooking in Spain.
Okay.
That's more Mexican. But the Spanish cooking, I never had a problem. My mom served me everything. My mom, when I was a toddler, she used to grind the ground beef in our kitchen. You know how you get the ground beef now, but like she used to grind it herself. And she would just feed me raw ground beef when I was a toddler. Explains a lot, doesn't it?
Sounds safe to me.
Explains a lot, doesn't it? She would do that. I remember having beef tongue, often, because she grew up in Spain, and it's like, you eat everything. It doesn't matter.
All right, so now your in-laws, they into the tripe?
Tripe doesn't get served.
No.
Calamari, yes. Squid, yes. I mean, when you're talking Christmas Eve dinner, the 7 fishes, everything is out there. But
see, I thought like you real Italian, you have to have the tripe.
Yeah,
so.
Tripe. I don't know if they just don't like it. I mean, I'm sure they've had it. I'm sure it's been discussed, but it's never been served. Lots of pork roast, lots of the gnocchis and everything else. Like 7 fishes Christmas Eve at my in-laws is insane. It's insane. It's more food and more of a feast than anybody could possibly want or ask for. And I don't turn my nose up to any of it. Now, my brother-in-law, not a fish guy. So that's a problem. Now he's got a strike against him. 7 fishes, won't eat the fish.
We work with Nancy. She's got a fish allergy. It's like
big time.
Like she will like that's. Now that's different.
My old man had a shellfish allergy. Yeah. He wouldn't eat shrimp. He wouldn't eat clams. He would avoid shellfish. I don't think I have any of those allergies. I've knock on wood somewhere. I haven't experienced any kind of like negative reaction to a food. I don't think ever in my life, but I can tell you beans are disgusting. They're like little pockets of dirt. Get that gritty crap away from me. I hate them. Hate beans.
I just thought of this after Moss Brooks left because like he cut his teeth in Cincinnati before coming up here.
Skyline Chili.
You know who else cut his teeth in Cincinnati? Maybe it's a Cincinnati thing. Before he became this world voice here, it was Al Michaels. Al Michaels started in Cincinnati. Al Michaels, a guy, vegetables are objectionable. I won't eat any vegetables. I won't eat
a vegetable. That's amazing to me. Won't eat a vegetable. No, I thought you were going to go with Skyline Chili. I remember once in grade school, they served chili over spaghetti once. And that's Skyline Chili from what I understand, right? And I thought that was horrible. And that turned me off on chili for a while. Not only that, but it was chili with beans. Just disgusting. Like traumatized by that school lunch. There's no Big Daddy pizza they could serve me in the future that would erase the memory of having Skyline Chili served in the upper Midwest as a kid. It was disgusting. Beans are terrible. Ugh. Won't do them. But the red sauce on the pizza is an interesting one. Like now I can't get this image of Moss Brooks coming into the office every day with like a lunch pail, a baggie of Cheerios, and like a go-go squeeze. Maybe like a carton of milk, and that's his lunch every day. And I'm only saying it because we got a text from Warren Kozel in the Amerks front office who said we hired a child. Get Moss Brooks some SpaghettiOs. Oh, you can't even do SpaghettiOs. That's red.
But see, like for folks that are out, you listen to the show, you like sports. This is part of the sports culture. If you're going to needle somebody, you're accepted. Now, New York State would say otherwise. We're like, no, hostile work environment.
No, I don't know that we've done anything hostile. We're just calling Andrew out for having a very particular palate. And there's nothing wrong with that. My daughter's the same way. It drives me nuts. Like, she won't eat anything that we make, ever. She has to make things her way. Like, my wife will be like, we're going to make something healthy tonight. And I come home and she turns on what she calls the box with the fire in it. And, here we're having salmon. And my daughter needs the salmon to be overcooked for her to eat it. Therefore, we are all eating this dry-ass, overcooked salmon. Now, I'm not complaining, and I will never complain because I'll eat it and I don't care. But not really the way I would prepare it. If I were to prepare it ideally, it wouldn't be like this dead. Like, there'd be a little bit of flakiness to it. There's no flakiness to it. It's just completely pulverized by the heat that it's been exposed to. So nothing wrong with being Moss Brooks. And look, I'm a hypocrite if I criticize him. I was eating candy just a few minutes ago, like the candy jar upstairs.
Oh, I'm attacking that.
I go hit it all the time. I'm in the yummy phase as well. We had orange soda in the fridge a couple of weeks ago. I'm like, oh, orange soda. Haven't had that. Oh, got addicted to it right away. I'm like, oh, God, this is the best. What adult drinks orange soda? This one. So I can't be too critical.
That's one thing. Like, you will drink anything. I'll drink anything too.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not, okay, ooh, that tastes good.
Yeah, not too bad. Yeah. Not too bad. We're going to be joined in a little bit here by Ryan Talbot, NewYorkUpstate.com. We'll get to talking some Buffalo Bills, another wide receiver taking a visit with the Buffalo Bills. That'd be Keon Coleman of Florida State. We also know that Troy Franklin from Oregon was here the last couple of days as well, taking a visit with the Buffalo Bills. So we'll dive a little bit deeper into the wide receivers that have taken top 30 visits with the Buffalo Bills and continue to kind of look towards the horizon here of the NFL draft coming up in Detroit at the end of the month.
Danger, take yesterday that you had. I think we have to follow up on because there's more to this, and there will be more to this Ohtani's story. And look, Danger, yesterday you said, hey, even though the Feds cleared Ohtani's name,
well, it appears that they're going to clear his name.
Yeah, well, the Fed just basically said at this time,
this guy.
At this time we have no reason. Look, you said you still think he was involved. Look, I get it. Anybody that thinks that, I thought that too. How could one be so naive? And then some new information comes to light, and then people read the report, and as Bill Ryder did, he did the work for us today. This is interesting. Not one of the professionals hired by Ohtani speaks Japanese. Not his lawyer, not his accountant, not his agent, not his financial planner. No one. Literally, everything ran through his interpreter, who, by the way, is now looking at 30 years. To his lawyer, the accountant, the financial planner, the agent. That's somewhere on the spectrum between lazy and negligent. Guys, Babel, go look it up. Here's my advice to Ohtani. Look, Shohei, fire everyone. Get everyone out of your life. Your lawyer, your accountant, all of them. Fire them all and start a new.
How long is it going to take for Shohei to not need the interpreter to actually have a command of enough of a command of the English language where he
forever? And here's why. Because it is just the great stiff arm to the media. I don't know your question. Like, think of Sammy Sosa on Capitol Hill. Oh, he spoke English. He know English. But, oh, no, when you're asking a question, I don't know English. So for Shohei, particularly now, I'm sure he's picked up some words. I'm sure he understands some things. But for a celebrity his status, I don't need to learn this.
Right.
But the other way around.
Did Ichiro came around and learned the language, right?
Oh yeah, Ichiro would be busting chops and doing things like that, yeah.
So what are we doing here? Come on, how long does it take? A season, 2 seasons? You're saying he's going to purposely not learn the language?
My point is though, how did everybody miss on this? Nobody did their job. Your biggest client, Shohei Ohtani, is going to make all this money. All you have to do, drop everybody else, take care of Shohei, and look out for problems down the road. But you know what? These guys are too busy just hammering their own checks and not paying attention.
Yeah. Well, it works out neatly for Ohtani. It works out neatly for the Dodgers. It works out neatly for Major League Baseball. You have that giant fall guy who's staring that sentence down. And
danger. I don't think he's a fall guy, though. If you read the report, this is just one giant scam he was running. These are the feds. This is not the local DA.
Okay. I still have a hard time believing that he didn't know what was going on with $16 million of his own money. That's a hard one for me to swallow. But to be fair, I have not read the report, so I'll take what you're saying, and I'll take what Ryder is pointing out as well as fact from the report.
Well, but also another tidbit from the report too, when he had to get on the phone with the bank. Oh, hi, yes, I'm here with Mr. Ohtani. He wouldn't be there, and he'd be speaking there was forgery going on.
Speaking on behalf of Ohtani when Ohtani wasn't really there. Gino, I just had a thought as we were getting ready to do the show today. I might have to start rearranging my schedule here. Hear me out. Pre-show dad run. What do you think?
All right, I have one rule. Shower. You have to come in clean. I don't want, yes, it's Friday. There's nobody else in the building on a Friday. But no, don't gas me out here, bud.
Plan a 1 hour run and start at 45 minutes before we open up here in the sports bar. Just a little bit of pressure. Force that personal record on a daily basis. I just think it's a good way to set a tone every afternoon.
By the way, we should have something like this in our studios. That's what we should push for. When Duffy went to Detroit, they have a gym in their studios.
Yeah.
Don't they want their people to be healthy?
I think they discussed it, if I heard correctly, the history of our studios here when they first decided they were going to move here, that was something that was in consideration. There's a whole basement downstairs that we never go down to.
But I went down there once, and there's some gym equipment down there.
Yeah.
So who left that behind?
I think Bengineer, had that.
Okay.
I think that's Bengineer's equipment.
Gotcha.
You can go down there and rip some curls. Why not? You know what we should do is hopefully he comes out. We'll run this idea by Joey Kipchoge. Is that a good thing to schedule a run when you're up against the gun? Give yourself a little bit of a little added motivation, get that personal record.
You know where Joey is Monday morning?
Boston.
Yep.
Going to dominate.
Come on, Joe.
You're going to dominate.
Win.
Dude, all I know is I felt like such a superhero for running the running of the green last month, right? I crossed the finish line, 5-mile race. I'm feeling good about myself. I'm an old man. My kids are there. Hugs, kisses, the whole thing. And then I look up at the board and I see who's at the top of the leaderboard. I'm like, that guy just shamed everybody. What a run. I mean, just owned.
What other sport, though, can you compete with the world's best? That's it. It's running.
So much fun.
Yeah, like if you get in the right race, as you did. News from Hollywood today, if I may break format here, Danger.
Oh,
it's very sad.
Non-sports take?
Yeah, after 3 months, the couple from The Golden Bachelor have filed for divorce. Talk about your Friday news dump.
Yeah.
And is there no hope for love anymore?
No, I know.
World?
If the Golden Bachelor and the whoever can't find love, what hope is there for the rest of us? I understand.
See, now whenever we say, "Oh, it's these kids that are falling for the," no, it's you too. There, every generation falling for this nonsense.
For the reality TV,
yeah,
we have OJ to thank for that. Rest in peace, Juice.
Or just as I say, rest.
Or just rest, Juice. Or how about find peace? Does he deserve to find peace?
I suppose.
Find peace. I think that's okay. And if it wasn't for him, no Bachelor, no American Idol, no Survivor, no Big Brother, no Love Island. Like every show now is that. It is just that. And it's all because court TV was a thing back in the day. Insane. Ryan Talbot, NewYorkUpstate.com, joins us next. He's got a tracker on the site of all of the Bills' top 30 pre-draft visitors, the Zoom meetings that the team has taken with these prospects, private workouts. Really in-depth tracker, really worth monitoring. We're going to dive into it, especially with those wide receivers coming in. We'll talk to Ryan Talbot next here in the Sports Bar. Danger and Battaglia on the Fan Rochester. It is playoff time as it gets underway next week in the NBA, the NHL. Baseball is also in full swing. FanDuel is your place to bet on every game. Mike Danger for FanDuel Sportsbook, official partner of 95.7 The Fan. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $150 win or lose. And you can bet on everything from slap shots to home runs to slam dunks, all on an app that is safe, secure, and easy to use. What are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com/Mike, M-I-K-E, FanDuel.com/Mike. Make your first bet an automatic win. FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. 21 plus and physically present in New York. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369.
You're listening to the Sports Bar. Top shelf sports talk. You're hanging out in the sports bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
All right, let's get back to the Buffalo Bills with Ryan Talbot covering the team at NewYorkUpstate.com. And a great job tracking the Buffalo Bills' top 30 visitors, their Zoom meetings, their private workouts. Tracker all available at NewYorkUpstate.com. Ryan, we haven't had a chance to download with you since last week's trade of Stephon Diggs and what that means for the Bills' plans here at the end of the month at the NFL Draft. I mean, I don't know if you're parking your car in the same garage as Gino and I, but it almost feels like a certainty that that first-round pick is going to be a wide receiver. And even more so, you could see Brandon Beane moving up to get the guy that he covets most. How are you, Ryan?
Hey, I'm doing great, and yeah, I'm definitely parking my car in that same garage because, the Bills right now are going into this draft, and that's the big glaring need is that wide receiver. They bring in Curtis Samuel. They like what Khalil Shakir has done, but you need that boundary wide receiver. You need that player that can be a threat to be a number one receiver. So definitely agree that the Bills are doing their due diligence on a lot of these guys, and wouldn't shock me, though, if they made a trade up to try to get one of those top 4 wide receivers in this draft class.
Yeah, Ryan, we haven't spoken on air here since the Diggs trade, which I said at the time I was stunned just because I didn't know the Bills, what we don't know to this point what their plan is. Now that we've had over a week to kind of digest this, give us your thoughts as to the why this move happened for Buffalo.
Yeah, for the why, it just seems like Stephon Diggs was disgruntled here in Buffalo. It sounds like he requested the trade. I don't think that the Bills wanted to necessarily keep him around in that locker room if he wasn't going to be happy to be here. So that's a big part of the why. And to back that up, you don't just get rid of a player and eat $31 million in dead cap unless you feel like that relationship has truly deteriorated. So that's the big why behind it. But now it does. It puts the Bills in a tough spot. You look at free agency. There's no number one receivers on the market this time of year, no matter what year you're talking about. There's some nice complementary pieces that maybe the Bills bring in post-draft, but now they really have to do a thorough, deep dive of these players to try to figure out who that player can be that can step in and make an impact on day one.
All right, so knowing that the Diggs trade felt like something at the beginning of the offseason that wasn't going to happen. It didn't feel like something that the Bills would do. In the spirit of we can never say never in the NFL, what is the wild, outlandish thing that you could see Brandon Beane doing here? Could it be a trade into the top 10, say, of the draft later this month? Could it be the Bills trading for a T. Higgins? What do you think is a scenario that might be a little bit wild, but you can't rule out entirely, Ryan?
Yeah, I would say if Rome Odunze falls out of the top 10, that is when Brandon Beane starts working the phones, trying to move up and get his guy, being willing to possibly part with a first-round pick in next year's draft as well to get that job done, because Odunze just kind of screams process in everything that he does. And, if you watch him at the Combine, this is a guy that's been locked up as a consensus first-round, top half of the first-round pick. And he was out there running a three-cone drill over and over again because he wasn't satisfied with how he was performing at that specific drill. So didn't have to do it, wanted to do it. Seems like the perfect kind of player for this offense. That'd be my outlandish, wild scenario. Wouldn't surprise me either if the Bills traded up into the late teens, early 20s for Brian Thomas Jr. either.
Yeah, Ryan, at this time, and you've covered many, many drafts. I mean, my gosh, I remember the first time we talked on air, that was the Sammy Watkins draft. And all of a sudden, you had One Bills Live talking about the possibility of trading down. You had another report there from Reed on ESPN, Jordan Reed, saying the Bills trading down. Ryan, can we deduce that that's a smokescreen?
I would be surprised if they traded down just because, again, this is such a massive need now. Had they, not traded away Stephon Diggs, a trade down would have made perfect sense. You're trying to get that extra day 2 pick that you were anticipating getting with the compensatory pick. But now that Diggs is out the door, if you trade down, you're either A, sold on one of those late first round, early second round guys that can maybe be a number one wide receiver, that maybe some people aren't as sold on, like an Xavier Legette and Xavier Worthy, who, due to his frame, Keon Coleman, guys that they've brought in, Troy Franklin. You'd have to really be sold that this is that guy that can be that piece. I just don't see them trading down, especially with how aggressive Brandon Beane has been in the past. He traded up for Josh Allen. He traded up for Tremaine Edmonds. You go back to even the last few years, Dalton Kincaid and so on and so forth. He's been more known to trade up to go get his guy than rather trade down in the first round.
For all the talk that we're hearing, Ryan, about the wide receiver position in this year's draft, for all the talk that we're hearing about the quarterbacks that could go early in the first round of this draft, do you think there's, again, under the umbrella of can't say never, do you think the Bills actually don't go wide receiver in round one and take the best available defender that might be available to them in round one?
Never say never after what we've seen with the Stephon Diggs trade and everything else. But it would be a major wow moment, I think, for this fan base. And I get you don't want to telegraph your pick, but at 28, are you going to be able to get the best of any kind of defensive prospect? The best edge rushers are going to be gone. You might be able to get a decent defensive tackle. You could probably have the top safety, but safeties aren't going in the first round anymore these days for a reason. So I think that the Bills would really have to be low on the receivers that were remaining at pick 28 if they were to go with a defensive option.
Cooper DeJean, do you put him at safety or corner there, Ryan? Because I before this all began, I was planting my flag saying that is a guy that Sean McDermott would love to have on the defense here. And I don't know if he's there when the Bills pick in the second round, but is that a prospect you could think could land in Buffalo, or just the board's not going to line up right here?
I don't think the board will line up right. I wouldn't be surprised if he was taken in the first round. I see him as an all-pro safety type of player, but I guess there are some teams that really want to give him a go at cornerback, and maybe he will thrive there too. I know that's what he basically did at Iowa, but in the pros, I think he is just going to be an outstanding safety if the team that drafts him puts him in that spot.
Ryan Talbot, NewYorkUpstate.com, our guest in the sports bar, Danger and Battaglia. Let's talk a little bit about some of the conversations that have been happening between these prospects and the Buffalo Bills as we kind of learn more about who's been coming in and specifically with the wide receiver position. We know that Troy Franklin was just here the last couple of days. He's projected to be a second or a third round pick. We've got the wide receiver from Florida State taking a visit with the team today. Who have you planted your flag in there, Ryan? If there was one wide receiver for the Bills, I'm sure that the options that are available to them maybe sway your pick one way or the other. I mean, if you're talking about this team going top 10, I'm with you. Go get Roma Dunze. But if you're sitting put at 28, I'm a Ladd McConkey guy. Where do you come down?
I'm really high in Xavier Legette. He's a player that I think it would be a perfect fit for this Bills offense. I could see him thriving. I think that I know the 1 year production, that's the thing that scares off a lot of people, but he's a player that I'm extremely high on in terms of those wide receivers. But I'm not going to say that I'm extremely high on Keon Coleman, but I think that the people that are bashing him are only looking at his 40 time at the combine, which was bad. There's no doubt about it, but he ran a lot of the drills at the combine, the fastest or the second fastest, and those are actual routes. When he was doing the gauntlet, he was the fastest recorded wide receiver going over 20 miles per hour. When he was running certain routes, he was the second fastest receiver out of that draft class. So straight line speed and route running speed didn't match up. I think that if the Bills were to take him, 6'4", great, size to him, he runs a lot faster than just that 40 time that is kind of engraved in a lot of the minds of the Bills Mafia. So I would not mind him either. He would be an ideal trade down candidate, or if the Bills were to trade up in round 2, he would be another guy if they want to double dip perhaps if that were to be able to come to fruition.
Ryan Talbot, Shout Podcast, NewYorkUpstate.com, and he's got the tracker going every year. It's become your thing, Ryan, keeping tabs and getting these tips on who the Bills are visiting, and you're going to be right on top of it, certainly post-draft when you're getting to the street free agents. My question is about these pre-draft visits. Do we know anything, like in terms of the hit rate? Like, is this a clear indicator that the Buffalo Bills are going to draft? Like, how many draft picks does Buffalo take where it falls outside of the top 30, maybe in the first or second or third round? Like, how much weight do you put into this?
Yeah, I put a good amount of weight into it. Last year with Dalton Kincaid, that was the first time that a Brandon Beane first-round pick was not a 30 visit. So he brought in Josh Allen, Tremaine Edmonds in 2018, Ed Oliver 2019. They didn't have a first-round pick in 2020 with Stephon Diggs, and then they weren't allowed to do top 30 visits either that year or 2021. 2022, Kaiir Elam, top 30. So last year was the first year that they didn't draft a player that came in for a 30 visit. But even guys like James Cook, Dawson Knox, Osiris Torrance, all of those guys came in for a visit with the Bills. So there's definitely something to that. And when you look at some of these prospects, they check the box in terms of a lot of due diligence by the team. So Troy Franklin, the Bills had him in for the 30 visit yesterday. They met with him at the Combine. They held a private workout with him, so that checks the box 3 times. MJ Devonshire, a late third round, or not third round, day 3 pick out of Pitt, has been met with the Bills multiple times. Again, they love those Pitt secondary players. Tez Walker's met with the team multiple times. So the more they meet with the player, the more I kind of zero in on, maybe Tez Walker's a mid-round prospect that the Bills are trying to get in here. Devonshire, a late-round pick. There's a UB linebacker that they didn't bring in for a 30 visit, but they've done a ton of work on. So it wouldn't shock me if Joe Andreessen was a UDFA if he goes undrafted with the Bills. So definitely something where you want to connect the dots.
I want to get back to the Bills' offense with Ryan Talbot, NewYorkUpstate.com, joining us in the sports bar. We saw that they took a 30 visit with the running back out of Florida State, Trey Benson, who might be a good compliment for James Cook. We also know that at the Combine, there were plenty of interviews with running back prospects, including Audric Estime of Notre Dame, Frank Gore Jr. Which one of these prospects do you think could be the best compliment for what the Bills have developed here with James Cook?
Yeah, for me, it's Estime. Watching him at Notre Dame, I am a Notre Dame fan, no bias, though. He's exactly what they need. They need that between the tackle, running back that at first contact, he's been able to shrug that off a lot in his career and keep moving his legs and pick up additional yards. He doesn't have that burst of James Cook, but if he can get past the first line of defense, he can be somewhat explosive. So to me, he is a guy that would be a perfect fit for the Bills, but it all comes down to when they're looking to address the position, are they still on the board, or is he still on the board? Frank Gore Jr. is someone that will be taken later in the draft. Trey Benson is a guy that I think will go off the board earlier. I'm not sure if the Bills will be able to get him. And I've also been told, although he didn't come in for a 30 visit, they've kind of done a lot of homework on Jalen Wright out of Tennessee as well. So there's a lot of backs that they're doing their homework on, whether it's for now or a few years down the road when they might hit free agency and be on the market.
Ryan, we did have a free agent signing by Brandon Beane, La'el Collins, and we all remember his story, how he fell out of the draft many years in Dallas. So a two-part question. One, your thoughts on perhaps him becoming the backup swing tackle, if you will? I mean, like, who is in the mix there? And then part two, it's not a sexy conversation, I don't think, but before the Diggs trade, I wouldn't have ruled out a first-round interior lineman knowing that, hey, there's some guys that maybe haven't done this. It would be good to refortify. You don't have Mitch Morse there. So, at what point in this draft do you think the Buffalo Bills address the offensive line?
I think that they'll address the offensive line either early. I would guess early on day 3 if I were to kind of make a prediction there. I think that it's something where both sides of the ball, offensive line, defensive line, they have been known to address it, draft players, develop players, even bring in guys as UDFAs and kind of bring them along. I know Ryan Vandemark, for instance, wasn't an original UDFA of the Bills. He was with the Colts for a while, but they've developed him. They've brought some guys along the last few years that have really developed. Vandemark will be in that running for swing tackle as well. When it comes to La'el Collins, though, while I think that swing tackle or depth at tackle is where he could ultimately land, it wouldn't surprise me if they let him compete for that left guard job. I know that he hasn't played any meaningful snaps in a little bit after suffering a serious injury at the end of the 2022 season. 2020, he missed some time, but he has over 80 career starts. He's a player that is still pretty solid when he is on the field, so I like the signing. The up to $6+ million tells me that the Bills are telling him he has an opportunity to potentially start on this offensive line.
Ryan, while we're talking about trackers, and I don't want to put you on the spot, so forgive me if you're not doing this, but I'm fascinated and always curious because I don't know that we have the answer. I don't know that the NFL teams have the answer, and certainly the Bills feel like they got one pulled over on him here with the compensatory draft pick formula. And we get another signing of a former Bill in Phillips signing with the Giants yesterday. Do we know where the Bills stand for their 2025 draft pick formula as of right now, knowing that there's still a little bit of time left here to figure this all out?
Yeah, so right now I believe they are still on the side of potentially getting a compensatory pick or two. So what's interesting is they're kind of, going against the clock right now where right after the draft is over, a few days after the draft, that's when you can start signing players again, and it will not factor whatsoever into the compensatory pick formula. So the Bills, after signing La'el Collins, they might be done for now until after the draft because then no matter what you pay a player, now that the Bills have a lot of money, but no matter what they end up signing a player for, it doesn't factor in. So they're definitely in line right now to potentially get a pick or two. They're not in the boat necessarily where they were last year where everyone thought it was going to be a third-round pick, but they could still end up with some valuable, day 3 picks potentially, which I think that we know Brandon Beane is more than willing to take, and he's had a good success rate with those day 3 picks.
And Brandon, last one for me, Brian Talbot, our guest here in the Sports Bar, NewYorkUpstate.com, and the Shout Podcast. Ryan, as far as one topic that we were talking about earlier, normally this would have been the week coming up here where the NFL schedule was released. That's not going to be the case anymore. The NFL's pushed that back to May, and the reason they do this is, well, they want to win the news cycle. We're talking about the draft. We can talk about that, schedule a later date. Do you have a preference here who you want the Buffalo Bills to open? Because I'm just thinking that a Buffalo and Houston matchup might look really tasty on a Monday night.
Yeah, I think that's exactly where my mind was going to after the Stephon Diggs trade. Week 1, Monday Night Football, Bills on the road. You have a team in Houston that made the playoffs last year. Diggs is supposed to kind of put them over the top. That makes a ton of sense to me. So if the Bills are on the road in Week 1, I definitely have that one kind of sharpied in potentially as being that matchup.
You think they get as many primetime games as we've seen the last couple of years?
They maybe 1 or 2 less. Yeah. Wouldn't surprise me just because this conference now is pretty loaded, and you'll still have a lot of the bigger markets, even in the NFC, if the rosters aren't great, getting their fair share. So Buffalo will still have quite a few, but I'm going to predict maybe 1 or 2 less than what they've had the last year or two.
Will your wife file for divorce if the Bills wind up with one of those Christmas Day games, Ryan?
She might. I was once the Bills said, or with the league, I should say, said they were going to do a Christmas Day. I said, "Oh no, I could certainly see the Bills being in play there because you look at the ratings that they've brought in on Thanksgiving games, and would not surprise me if Buffalo was given a Christmas game, and that will be a very, very tough sell."
What about if they play again on Thanksgiving?
I think she's okay when I leave on Thanksgiving. A lot of the families around there, but with the kids and Christmas, that one's a little bit harder of a sell.
Yeah. It was this time last year I made the trip out to Buffalo Danger for one of the Shop podcasts that went live. Yeah, so you guys are live, right, coming up, Brian?
Yeah, we have a show on Saturday night, and we were recently at the Dome in Williamsville, so we're making our rounds in Western New York. So definitely keep your eyes peeled on that. But we have a mock draft special on Saturday night at Wingnuts. So anyone in Rochester that wants to make the drive, join us. We'll be there live at 6 p.m., show starting at 7.
Now, Ryan, your co-host was on with us earlier this week, Perino, and he was trolling us. He was trying to...
We sniffed it out right away.
Sniffed it out right away. He's like, whoa, I can't wait for us to be back at camp, boys. We'll get our garbage plate on. We're like, get out of here, pretty boy. You ain't eating the garbage plate again. You recoiled at the sight of the garbage plate. And Ryan, I can't remember what the conflict was. I think you had family conflicts the night that we all went out for plates during camp. But, we know you. We know you're a guy who will appreciate the real garbage plate.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, you're right. We had the show last year in Rochester, and I had to get back the next morning, so I wasn't staying. But Perino, yeah, he's not a garbage plate guy, but I'm always down for a plate. It's like a tradition. You got to do it once a year at least.
Yeah. Well, we'll be talking, I'm sure, well before then. But nice to know this week with the report from Catalana that it looks like we'll be back at camp at St. John Fisher once again. We'll have you and Matt in town and all the other beat reporters in town have some fun. And looking forward to the end of the month here with the NFL draft. I'm sure we'll be talking right around there.
All right. Sounds great, guys.
Thanks, Ryan.
Ryan Talbot, NewYorkUpstate.com. Great tracker. Great job tracking all of the top 30 visits for the Buffalo Bills and all the meetings and Zooms that they've been on with some of these prospects.
Yeah, it's a good point to bring up and one we need to be reminded of, that why wasn't Kincaid here last year? And I think that was just the Bills predicting correctly. Hey, he could fall, but if we bring him in, we don't want to telegraph that we're interested in this player. And it was at the end of the process last year, Danger, the light bulb went off in our head, like, they could look at tight end here.
Yeah.
So this year, I don't see the light bulb going off in my head like, they're going to go. It has to be wide receiver.
Feels like wide receiver. Unless
you could sit there and take Cooper DeJean.
I think we're going to be more on the edge of our seat this year than we were last year because of the prospect of them going up as high
up. Every
as
pick is
top
like,
10.
Yeah.
Like they could get up into the top 10. It'll be interesting to see. We can't wait for all of it. Speaking of the NFL draft, we will be live for the NFL draft. Day one, our pre-draft show from 3 to 6 will be at Three Heads Brewing on Atlantic Avenue in the neighborhood of the arts, as it's become a tradition there to do the draft show from Three Heads. And then Friday, day 2 of the draft, our pre-show will be from 3 to 6. Bill Gray's Tap Room, Chilai Avenue location, where we were for the start of March Madness. Can't wait for that. That's going to be a lot of fun.
You and I, we're going to be drinking and eating.
We can share a cold one and maybe a win or two.
I'm going to have to go on some extra dad runs that week, Danger. So,
do we do dad runs leading up to the live broadcast?
Like a sports bar dad run?
Nothing wrong with it. I mean, we've been at Three Heads where the running groups wrap up their run and then they have a couple of beers afterwards. No shame in that. Maybe we set a tone. Maybe we set a tone. We go on a dad run before the Three Heads live show.
If you do that, you have to shower. That is the rule.
I don't know that I'm going to. If I do it, I don't know that I would.
You're trolling me.
I don't know that I would.
You're trolling me.
I don't know that I
No.
would. I think I would. I think I would go.
Troll
I would
alert.
get completely lathered up. Go. Minimum 5K. I'm saying minimum 5K run. We wrap up the 5K. We go for the personal record. And then we just blast out 3 hours of fantastic sports talk. No time for a shower.
This is like Matt Perino trolling. I'm just, nope. Troll.
You wouldn't even know. You wouldn't even know. Just change and you wouldn't even know.
You've done it before. I don't even know.
Maybe I did it today.
We're opposite of the studio.
Yeah.
Here, so.
All right, we got to get to happy hour. It's on the way next. We have plenty of time for your phone calls at 866-4326. It's hockey night in the Flower City. The Amerks set to host the Belleville Senators. That's coming up at 7 o'clock. Don Stevens and Andrew Mossbrooks will have the call for you here on your proud home of Rochester Americans hockey as the Amerks look to clinch a playoff berth. We'll get to that and more next on The Fan Rochester.
You're listening to in Battaglia. The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
Today's Friday.
Today is Friday.
Mark Pope is Kentucky's new men's basketball coach.
I'm a Mark Pope fan. BBN gets an incredible leader of men.
Mike Danger.
We'll keep tabs on round 2 of the Masters as well.
Now go watch the Masters.
Yeah, come on, Tiger.
Gene Battaglia.
We're going to focus a lot on the draft here. We are only 13 days away here from the NFL draft, and we'll talk about these wide receivers that Buffalo may be selecting.
The Buffalo Bills select
Tom Brady, you're the real deal. Let's go! Amerks Belleville, tonight at 7.
Rochester has its magic number down to 1.
Playoffs?
They haven't lost since he came into the sports bar, and we shared a bourbon here. These are facts.
Well, I might have to come in again a couple times just to make sure. And maybe even have some of that Amerks along the way.
I'll drink to that.
The Sabres win the home finale.
What they decide with Don Granado.
Frozen 4.
Denver and BC, they'll play for the NCAA men's hockey title tomorrow.
I'm a Pio. I'm a Denver Pioneer at heart, so I'll be rooting for the Pioneers.
95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan. Rochester.
It's happy hour in the sports bar. Danger and Battaglia. I'm glad you're with us. Maybe you're watching the sports bar, our YouTube channel, The Fan Rochester, twitch.tv/The Fan Rochester for our video stream. We sound great on your smart device when you ask it to play 95.7 The Fan, and all things The Fan Rochester and the sports bar can be found in the free-to-download Odyssey app, AUDACY. Looks like the wind is whipping round 2 in Augusta and the Masters as it continues here. Gino, just for my own mental health, can I rattle off some golfers? I know you have the leaderboard there in front of you. I need to know who I'm eliminating as far as me having any chance. These are the guys that I plunked down a sprinkle here, a sprinkle there, little pizza money on the side with our friends from FanDuel here. I already know Scheffler, who I hedged. I took 2 guys to win. Scheffler was one, and the other was Wyndham Clark. So I know Scheffler's up there at the top. Where's Wyndham Clark? He's going to make the cut, or is he on the verge of missing the cut for the Masters? Wyndham Clark, the most bougie name of all the golfers.
He was doing well yesterday, and the thing about the second round here, Danger, was like kind of went really, really flat.
I think he went into the drink in 16 yesterday.
Yeah, he's 2 over, but he's only through 8 today. If you're heading home right now, hey, this is a benefit. You're gonna get just put it on and crack open a cold one. You're gonna watch some of these guys. Wyndham Clark hasn't even made the turn yet, Danger. So he could theoretically fall apart in the back end here and not make the cut. I wouldn't anticipate that.
All right, I'm pulling for Wyndham Clark because I got long odds on him to win outright. Now, guys that I kind of picked to go top 5, top 10, top 20, whatever. There's one guy that has absolutely fallen apart that I'm already saying he's not making the cut, so I can rule out Dustin Johnson. I saw that one earlier today.
13 over, 7 over for today. In fact, that's the 3rd worst score right now. Even Freddie Couples at 12 over for the tournament, not making the cut, did better than DJ today. Bubba Watson, 10 over. He's not making the weekend. Jordan Spieth, he fell apart today, Danger. Like one hole, I forget what the number was on that, but you knew it wasn't going to be Spieth making it to the weekend. Zach Johnson, Mike Weir, these are some other golfers that are not going to make it. Victor Hovland. How many times have we talked about it?
Now, that's
Hovland.
one of my guys. Where is he?
Yeah, he is going to miss. He's only through 8, but he's 6 over for the tournament. Ricky Fowler, 6 over for the tournament. He's through 10. Jose Maria Olazabal. We always poke fun at him. He finishes up at 6 over for the tournament. Like, he's not going to make the cut, but at least he didn't embarrass himself.
So Hovland won't make the cut. All right, now run through some of the big names.
Tony Finau's not going to make the cut.
Give me John Rahm. Where's he at?
John Rahm, I got to look at the cut line. He's 3 over today through 10. 3 over for the tournament, 2 over today through 10. Brooks Koepka, 2 over for the tournament. Wyndham Clark, 2 over, as we mentioned.
What about Zalatoris?
Good question. I skipped over that. He was doing well yesterday.
Yeah, Zalatoris is a freak.
Finished runner-up the 1 year.
Uh-huh.
Like 150 pounds soaking wet. He should make the cut. He's even for the tournament, 2 over today. He's through 10. So he's made the turn.
All right. So a couple of my guys are out. A couple of my guys are still alive.
Like the lead to me is we are going to get a Masters weekend with Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
I was really fearful watching some of the footage of him where it just looks like, dude, it's painful for him just to walk. And the idea, Danger, remember, well, yeah, he didn't get to finish his round last night. Well, because he was one of the last tee times yesterday, Means he literally had to go back-to-back here today, playing more than 18. He did just fine. So Tiger at 1 over for the tournament, making the cut.
Now, well, that's great, and the streak continues, and you could say, all right, well, that's historic. What he's done is historic. Given that he put that extra strain on himself today with the extra holes, do you think that he does complete all 4 rounds?
Ooh. Like he doesn't want to embarrass himself by fall. I'd say he does.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. I was nervous this morning because it looked like this morning he was a little bit stiff. He just didn't look like he didn't look himself. He hasn't looked himself in a while. But, yeah, you made the cut. Let's a weekend with Tiger at the Masters. We'll take it.
Mm-hmm.
We'll take it. It's going to be fun.
Is there a better Sunday sporting event, non-NFL, than the Masters Sunday? Excluding your favorite team and whatever. I'm just saying, just in general.
I mean, I won't sit here and let you listen. I would speak ill of English Premier League soccer.
Your tongue is in cheek. You do like
there. I do,
yeah.
And I'm not saying anything negative about Premier League soccer because there's a lot of people, a lot of sports fans in Rochester that will get down with some soccer on Sunday. You wake up Sunday morning, get some soccer on the tube, or go to your favorite bar that supports your squad and your club, and you have a blast. Not turning a blind eye to that. Is there a better Sunday than Masters Sunday outside of the NFL season?
I mean, gosh, like. Second round of the NCAA men's tournament doesn't feel it holds up to what Masters Sunday feels like.
Yeah, Masters Sunday is a special day. God, looking at the forecast, it looks like one that will probably not be able to get a lot of work done outside. So maybe you just hunker down and watch Tiger struggle through the 4th round on Sunday. But with some of the names that are on that leaderboard, it'll be a compelling watch. Tomorrow and Sunday. Spa day tomorrow. Getting a massage.
Is it a couples thing? I would assume, yes.
They do the couples massage. These are our friends at the spa at the Del Monte. They're fantastic. And I learned today that my wife was the one that said, you know what? I think we're done with the couples massage. She made that call. I'm fine with it, but she's like, nah, I think... I want to, you do your room, we'll do my room, we'll be good. We'll go at the same time, but we won't do the couples massage.
Is your radar up?
Is my radar up?
Is it like there's Hans? Or
is that a euphemism for something else while I'm getting a massage?
No, not at all. I'm talking about like what does she have like a massage person like that?
I don't know.
I
do. I mean, like there's somebody at the spa that is given.
I mean, they're all professionals, but like, yeah.
No, I think she just likes the comfort of and the peace and quiet and not having to think about 2 other people being in the room while she's getting a massage. That's fine. I get that. If you want to do couples, great. If not, cool. I'm not going to be upset at that either.
Well, see, then you could wave to me. I'll be a Fisher tomorrow.
We'll drive right by.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and then I don't know. I'm trying to think. Do they have? How can I mix the Masters coverage into the spa day? Go to a.
They wouldn't have a monitor there for now.
No.
Do they have a bar there? I know they have the restaurant.
The restaurant is there.
Yeah.
So. Maybe I can go pull up to the bar and watch the round after the massage. Although they tell you to really like cleanse drink a lot of water.
Yeah.
Drink a lot of water. I don't know what they would say. It's like, you know what? I'm going to drink a lot of booze after the massage. Is that okay? I really want to sweat out.
You're the guest.
I want to leave vapor trails behind me. Is that cool? Amerks look to clinch a playoff berth with a win tonight as Belleville is the opponent. Senators in town.
Yeah, it's we had a fun conversation earlier with Andrew Mossbrooks, who you're here on the call now with Donnie Stevens, and we brought up a lot of interesting points about the Amerks, about the the race here for the division title, who might be coming back from Buffalo, fortified, everything else, and the thing that kind of took off though was that we learned that Andrew Mossbrooks likes his pizza without red sauce. In fact, it's not even likes; he can't have pizza without red sauce.
when he says he can't have it, it's not an allergy.
No, it's just a reflex.
He just doesn't like red sauce.
Which you're eating cheesy bread at that point. You're eating a breadstick.
He says no because you can put pepperoni on it and he'll eat it. He just won't eat it with the red sauce. It's a strange food take.
Peter put out a poll. What's the worst food take from the fan Rochester today? Andrew, no red sauce. Gene, no coconut. Mike, no beans. 70%. Mossbrook's in the lead.
Yeah, that's... I would vote Mossbrooks on that one. I get not liking coconut. I don't think coconut is universally loved. I actually think I was watching an episode of Chopped once where they had refried beans as one of the mystery basket items, and the judges just threw up on set and walked off. That's how much beans suck.
I don't think that really happened. Some people, like somebody who is taking this seriously, like, hey, did you hear that episode of Chopped that the judges walked off?
Oh my goodness! Bobby Flay really disagrees with the mystery basket today.
That was the last episode of Iron Chef. Beans, okay, we're done.
Can of refried beans? It just walked off set. Disgusting.
No summertime barbecue with the baked beans, nothing.
Gross. Keep them away from me.
The black beans when you're eating barbecue, though?
Disgusting.
No.
Keep
delicious.
The beans away from me. Beans are disgusting. Gross. Will not eat them. I will throw out a burrito, Ron Burgundy style, if I see that there are beans in the burrito. If they get the order wrong and they say no beans, they put beans in it anyway, the burrito is going out the window, and the bad man is going to punt Baxter out over the bridge.
The executive producer has a weird one.
She
loves her wine.
Mm-hmm.
Won't eat raisins. Get them away from me.
Raisins.
To the point where she thought she was eating like a bagel and thought it was blueberry, but it was raisins. Like, get that out of here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cinnamon raisin bagel? Can't do it.
Can't do it.
Huh.
I'm always the benefactor. I kind of get the double up.
Yeah, I'm okay. I mean, I'm not eating raisins as a snack because I'm not 8. By the way, I think Mossbrooks. Throw that in the Mossbrooks lunchbox. little Ziploc baggie of Cheerios.
Next time we have him in the studio,
juice box.
We'll give him a parting gift. Here's your
juice box of raisins, Ziploc baggie of Cheerios. What else? Maybe PB&J with the crust cut off, or Lunchables.
Cheese stick.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Got to have a cheese stick in there. A little string cheese.
The juice box, Capri Sun.
Well, Mossbrooks, if you're listening, we like you because we're busting chops. We're just busting chops. You've got a sensitive palate, and we like to exploit that.
How did we come across that? I'm trying to think of it.
We were talking about pizza. He mentioned that he had a favorite slice in town.
Yes, that's
and
it, yeah.
and I wanted to know where his spot was. And being a good company guy, he said, "Well, of course, Cariglio's is, that's his spot." And but yeah, the idea that you're eating pizza without the red sauce, not white pizza. He said he would put pesto on it, but no red sauce. Can't do red sauce. Bizarre food take. That has to win Peter's poll. Our official pollster of the Sports Bar, Peter on X.
I don't know if that's qualifies for take of the year. But it was kind of a weird Friday development I wasn't anticipating.
No, I wasn't into strange food takes taking over the show. I didn't have that in the notes for the pre-show notes.
When you open the door to sports bar, you never know what's going to kind of walk in here.
Correct. Scheffler and DeChambeau are tied in the second round of the Masters, 7 under. Max Homa in the clubhouse at 6 under. And I know we'll get to this at shots. There's a golfer on the tour. I don't know if it was self-deprecating or just not the right mindset going into the tournament, who believes, I have no shot. And it's funny, I was actually watching him earlier today, and his frustrations were getting the best of him. It was very clear. We'll get into that here later.
This story about the Shambo, too, and you might see this tonight if you're going to watch SportsCenter or any of these ones. So he's in the lead, but he got himself into trouble on 13 today. Now, what do I know about 13? Well, there's a walkway. And what do you see a lot of walkways? Well, those direction signs. The direction signs, not like, hey, New York City, this many miles, and like for visitors. Well, DeChambeau pulls a Paul Bunyan. I guess you're allowed to do this. He himself has to do this. He literally rips the direction sign
out of the ground.
Nice. Like Paul Bunyan.
Yep.
But then the officials made him put it back. Like he's in Home Depot or something like
Sure.
that. So he has to put it back.
Did he get to shoot with it out?
He shot with it out.
And then put it back in after
Put
he
it
shot.
back in. And I guess it wasn't that complicated. I mean, it made him sound like he ripped out a tree. He just kind of took it out of the stand and put it down, put it back in, ends up birdie. Gets himself out of trouble.
Yeah.
Is this the weekend for DeChambeau?
No.
I mean,
I think I'm waiting for the meltdown.
Patrick Reed once won the Masters. We were all like, ugh, that's disgusting.
Every time I see his name on the leaderboard, that's the thing that makes me involuntary gag. Oh, Patrick Reed. Cheater! No, I don't know. I think, look, what DeChambeau has done, I mean, all he did yesterday was shoot his best round ever at a major. Can he do that again? Can he stay at that level?
Well, the fact that Scheffler is right there.
That's right.
That's like, there's a reason why he's the biggest favorite since Tiger in his heyday.
He's playing some really good golf, and it continues. I expect not a major meltdown, but a DeChambeau meltdown at some point. I don't know that I see him. I mean, I would, if you're DeChambeau and you finish top 5, I think that's the best you've done at the Masters, right? He's struggled historically at the Masters. So, good viewing this weekend. Just lounging about with the rain outside. Watch the Masters. I like the conditions to be a little bit better, though. The wind is a problem today. Yesterday it was the rain and the late start.
Keon Coleman visiting the Buffalo Bills today, Florida State. Matt Perino has an interesting take here because Coleman, would the Bills actually take him at 28? He thinks Coleman is actually more a second rounder, like somebody you would trade back for. So, again, welcome to smokescreen season. I asked Ryan Talbot earlier today, like, wait a second, this discussion that the Bills would actually trade back, I think we would all lose our minds. And you can never say never with Brandon Beane or whatever. We're all expecting a move up in this draft. You have a glaring need. Your team is in the window, regardless of what anybody says. Go get the wide receiver your choice. But you bring in Keon Coleman for the visit today, and there is a pattern with Brandon Beane, and Ryan rattled it off. Like Dalton Kincaid last year was the exception, but you have Osiris Torrance, you have every other first-round pick. Of course, the one except the 1 year where you couldn't bring anybody in, and that was Diggs anyways. Usually, pre-draft visits kind of mean the Bills are interested in you. So the Keon Coleman, the latest to come to Buffalo today.
Now, with these pre-draft visits, what you're not seeing is, and you wouldn't, I don't think, because these are all prospects that will be within range when you're selecting at 28. You don't see any of those top guys, right? Like Adunze isn't on this list. Harrison Jr. isn't on this list, but I don't think you can rule out entirely that the Bills would go up to get one of those top 3 wide receivers in the first round because they have the draft capital to do it for a team that might want to get some more draft picks.
That could be all right, you're the rate. Who would be the pick where Adunze is on the clock?
I think it's the Bears, man.
The Bears, okay. So the Bears at 9. Ring, it's Brandon Beane. Oh, wait a second. They brought in Adunze. That's who I think it would already be obvious who Buffalo will be moving up for. So why I think it's going to be difficult for Brandon Beane is the world knows he wants to move up.
Yeah. And that's the deal you signed with the devil when you decided to trade your number 1 wide receiver.
Well, that's also part of this, too, is like where you sent Diggs and the timing of it. Like A.J. Brown got traded on draft night. Like you could have moved Diggs theoretically on draft night, but then you run the risk of Houston, and they've got extra picks, too. They could have been like, oh, yeah, well, we're going to draft another receiver.
And we always talk about, the Bills' desire here, the Bills' need to go with a wide receiver in the first round. We should also keep in mind, like, it's far from a lock that whoever you draft in the first round of wide receiver is going to be the kind of guy that you want them to be in terms of production, a la Steph Diggs. Look no further. You mentioned A.J. Brown. It just reminded me, like, who did the Titans draft for A.J. Brown? Oh, yeah, that's right. Traylon Burks has done nothing as a pro.
We asked Brandon Beane, one of our first conversations with Brandon Beane, the context came up about the Bills not drafting a wide receiver in the first round or the second round. And it was an interesting thing. He's like, well, that tag follows that player. And because this receiver that we draft in Khalil Shakir, if the Bills had spent, say, a second-round pick on Khalil Shakir, we would be like, I don't know. Especially last year. Expectations. So it's almost a given that whoever the Buffalo Bills select in the first round has to contribute right away. Like Kaiir Elam, I'm not ready to slam the door shut on him. However, if he was a seventh-round pick, we'd be like, all right, give him another year here. A lot of people are done with Kaiir Elam, so it's where he gets selected. I'm bringing this up because the wide receiver that the Bills select here, whether that's round 1 or round 2, that has to be ready-made. That's why I think Thomas makes sense.
Brian Thomas of LSU, Troy Franklin visiting with the team yesterday out of Oregon. And you mentioned it, Keon Coleman, Florida State, visiting today. Keon Coleman didn't run a good 40, crushed in all the other drills at the combine. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, Xavier Legette was the one that Talbot saying, hey, that's the guy. That's the guy I'd like to see with the Buffalo Bills. Separation guys. That's what they've always coveted. They've always wanted separation guys. And I know that a lot of people want the boundary guy that's got size. But if the boundary guy has size and can't separate, I think the Bills aren't going to be interested. They're going to want the guy that can get open for Josh Allen. If you missed that conversation with Ryan Talbot, or if you haven't seen his Bills Top 30 Visitors tracker, you can check that out now. Wherever you get your podcasts, search out the Sports Bar, our guest appearances, our shows, everything listed for you right there. That includes the free-to-download Odyssey app, AUDACY, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Yeah, let's get to some shots here in the.
Let's do it.
Yeah, we will give you more Masters news and notes today. Again, your lead story being Tiger Woods making the cut. Interesting hire at Kentucky. There is they're kind of going with the guy that they know, or at least they think they know. Oh, we haven't talked about the S word. Like,
I purposely haven't.
Yeah, I
even after a win, it's meaningless.
So out of touch. The executive was like, do you know there was like a 5-on-5 fight at the end of the game? I was like, no way, really? Yeah, well, Sabres kind of.
Oh, it was nice of them to share some of that fire.
Oh, who cares?
With nothing to play for. Good. Hope they're pissed off. Can you carry that over into next season?
Tuesday's locker clean-out day. We gonna get any gems this year?
I just lost my love for the game. Oh, God. Oh, God. Somebody's lost their love for the game. Fast forward a couple of years, he's hoisting a Stanley Cup.
Jack, why don't you get the...
Doesn't work like that, Paul. You know it doesn't work like that, Paul. Doesn't work like that. Blink twice if you're being held hostage by the organization, Jack. Blink, blink. Okay. Yeah, I'm sure there will be something. I mean, I want to believe that they're trying to build a culture where all of these guys are disappointed, but they're not going to say anything outrageous like, I've lost my love for the game. I mean, the kids on this team aren't going anywhere. They've signed their long-term deals.
Which... you can't fire the team.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so...
kind of scary.
We'll see where things go here in the next 4 days.
All right, so we'll get to a round of shots next in the Sports Bar. And don't forget about last call before we wrap up here at 6 o'clock. 585-866-4FAN if you want to join in. 866-4326, our phone number.
You're listening to the Sports Bar with Rochester's home for live sports and the best sports talk anywhere. The Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester.
They are a very tough opponent. They've just, I think that they work really hard. They play really hard. They're physical. They all compete and win puck battles, and they're a big physical team. And I think that's probably what makes them a good team and what makes them hard to play against.
Mason Jobst, Rochester American, taking the ice tonight against Belleville at Blue Cross Arena. You mentioned it, Gino. 7 o'clock tonight, puck drop. Don Stevens, Andrew Mossbrooks on the call as the Amerks look to clinch a playoff berth with a win tonight.
Yeah, if you like your big names as far as watching on a Sunday or a Saturday for that matter, Phil Mickelson's made the cut, or at least unless he falls apart here. He's only through 13, but he's 1 over. Rory, not great today. He's 2 over today, 1 over for the tournament. The cut line right now, Danger, they take the top 50, so the cut line is at 4 over. So amongst the golfers that will not be making the cut, Victor Hovland, he's going home. Zach Johnson, Ricky Fowler, Justin Rhodes going home. Jordan Spieth, 9 over for the tournament.
Give me that score for Spieth.
9 over.
9 times.
Bubba Watson, 10 over going home. Dustin Johnson, perhaps the worst of all, 13 over for the tournament going home. Now, going back up to the top, as we mentioned in the update, DeChambeau and Scheffler. Boy, big names still on the course. So if you're driving home, you can catch the end of this. They're both 7 under for the tournament. Max Homa is in the clubhouse after his second round. 1 under today, 6 under for the tournament. Colin Morikawa is in the hunt. He is 3 under for the tournament. So Danger, a lot of big names. Patrick Cantlay, another name. He's on the course right now, 1 under through 12.
All right, very good. Looking forward to a weekend of watching the Masters and seeing who can wear that green jacket.
Oh, and also in the top 10 here, Tommy Fleetwood.
Oh,
in the clubhouse, 1 under for the tournament.
Of course, unbelievable flow. Just ridiculous lettuce. He's trimmed it up a little bit. It's not as wild as it used to be. It used to be like straight up arugula. Now it's more like a Cobb salad. He's got it cleaned up a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's still a party.
Yeah. Let's see how he fares here. Mark Pope has had an interesting career after winning 2 championships as a basketball player at Kentucky. He knew he wasn't good enough for the pros, so he enrolled at medical school at Columbia. But after 2 years there, he realized he wanted to get into coaching. That journey led him to BYU, and this week, he came back full circle. He's the new head coach at Kentucky. Polk gets the job after only other high-profile candidates turned it down, including Baylor's Scott Drew. Drew said God himself told him to stay at Baylor.
Well, I guess you're playing to your audience when you say something like that.
This is God.
Yeah. Remember dating ourselves? Remember the 80s movie Real Genius with Val Kilmer?
I don't think you can say that on the air.
Ken, stop playing with yourself. It is God. What else did he tell you, Drew? Scott Drew, don't coach at Baylor. And stop playing with yourself.
I actually know somebody that broke up with his fiance. God told me I couldn't marry you.
Is God the ultimate fall guy?
God is the fall guy.
God is the ultimate scapegoat? You can use God?
Don't use God as the fall guy.
In case of emergency, break glass and call God? I don't want to do this. God told me not to do it.
Can you imagine that poor girl? Like, God told you.
Oh, God told you you're going to become a monk? What do you mean God told you? You're going to join a monastery? What? God told me to stay at Baylor. Oh, goodness.
Stay at Baylor, Drew. Scott, this is where you belong. This is your Lord above.
It is Jesus.
Oh, we're all going to hell. UPL has a record of 27-22-3 on the season. For a Sabre goaltender, that's the best since Ryan Miller won 31-21-7. That was year 1 of the drought. 4-2 was the final Sabres win over Washington.
Stop for 1 second. The first year of the drought, Ryan Miller was still the goalie for the Buffalo Sabres. That feels, 13 years is a long time. That feels even longer than 13 years when you put it in that perspective.
I distinctly remember then year 2, he gets dealt, and everybody gets dealt, and the famous were getting ready to suffer.
Oh, yes.
Get ready for suffering. Yeah.
Gross. Well, we are.
It's funny that Washington, that put a dent in their playoff chase last night. For some reason, I don't know. There was a 5-on-5 brawl to end the game. 21-19-1 was Buffalo's home record this season. Not great. Sabres finishing up on the road first at Florida Saturday night. And the final game of the season, tune in here to the Fan Rochester Monday night as the Sabres taking on Tampa Bay.
Locker clean out, you said on Tuesday. That'll be fun.
Yeah. Finally, as you settle in and watch the Masters this week, there are plenty of guys out there that you've never heard of. One is, and I guess if you're a golf person, you may know, England's Tyrrell Hatton.
Yeah.
Currently ranked 19th in the world golf rankings. Like, that's pretty good. Now, entering the tournament, he was at plus 6,000 to win an Augusta National. That's not good, but when you consider better odds in golfers such as Adam Scott and Patrick Reed, well, okay, maybe there's a chance. Here's a straightforward question posed to him on Sky Sports.
As we know, Tyrrell, serious question. What's it going to take for a third Englishman to get it done this week?
Shouldn't ask me. I've got no chance, but I'll
ask the major champion, shall I?
Yeah.
Okay, Danger, my question is he being honest, or I just don't have any time for your dumb questions here?
I wonder, like there's also a thing about, I think, just English gentlemen manners where you're going to be humble and always display humility, right? Like, why would you ask me that question? I don't have a chance. When secretly in the back of your mind, you're like, of course I have a chance. I'm top 20 in the world.
Well, he made the cut. He's 2 over.
He missed a putt earlier today. I don't know if it was the end of his first round or if it was the second round that he was playing, but he was frustrated. He missed the putt. He does the tap in and he chucks the ball into the creek, and it's like, oh yeah, Hatton's showing a little emotion out there.
I will say though, just watching the Masters makes me think back to May, thinking, wow, that was really cool when these guys came to Oak Hill.
Oh, it was great.
And it's a sport too where I don't have the access. Maybe someday if I get lucky, sit courtside in an NBA game. Like literally, you're that close. What is this like? The fact that it was like on the rope, right behind the ropes on the first green, just kind of watching these guys, top of their craft, hearing the conversation, everything else. It was spectacular that something like that came to our town.
When we were there on Saturday, albeit the weather was terrible, but I just remember, this will be a lifetime memory, right? Like there with my daughters, there with my wife. My youngest is a golfer. She wanted to go see John Rahm, and we went up to the tee box, saw John Rahm. We were right there. And the thing that astonished me more than anything, because this would have been the first time that I'd ever been to a golf tournament. You see it on TV, and it doesn't do justice how hard these guys hit the ball. They vaporize that thing. There's no tracking it. You can't track it out of the tee box.
I don't know how you can track it as a viewer, just you're there. Like it's up in the air. Where did it go?
No idea. You just know he absolutely demolishes it, and it's probably long and straight because that's what these guys do. It was a great memory, and working it was a blast as well. I mean, like being in the media center and knowing that you're a part of a global event was neat. And I'm sure that if you're a volunteer, you even have fond memories of like your time working the event. I mean, all I hope is that we get another one, right? We should get another one.
Yeah, we talked to Brian Koziel, and he didn't have any inside info, but they're due to announce who's getting the upcoming ones, and the idea that 2033, if you're sticking with the 10-year plan there, I know it'd be great to have a U.S. Open. I don't want to wait. Give me the PGA in 2033. Like you're gonna have to wait longer if you want the PGA or the U.S. Open.
Yeah. Well, I think Hatton ain't winning the tournament, but he's still a pretty good golfer. He just showed a little emotion, a little frustration earlier today from what I saw. And, in his head, if this is genuine, he's not a believer that he even has a chance of winning in the Masters.
As we know, Tyrrell, serious question. What's it going to take for a third Englishman to get it done this week?
Shouldn't ask me. I've got no chance, but I'll
ask the major champion, shall I?
Yeah, ask the major champion. Who was there with him? Do you know? Somebody that actually won a major?
Yeah. You shouldn't ask me. Don't ask me.
So humble.
Yeah.
Yeah. Almost that accent, almost Canadian.
Why are you so pissy?
No, it's not even close. I'm sorry. Let's take a break and then come back with last call.
Shambo just dropped the strokes. So
Yeah.
Wow. Does Scheffler go wire to wire?
This
now?
is what I don't want. Like, I don't want it to be Scheffler running away, right? I want it to stay tight. I want it to stay close. I want somebody to challenge him. But he's just playing so good. He's just been playing so good now, consistently good for the better part of 2 seasons. Hard to imagine that he's not going to be in contention come Sunday. We'll take a break. Come back with last call next. 585-866-4FAN, 866-4326. You're in the Sports Bar. Danger and Battaglia on the Fan Rochester.
You're listening to the Sports Bar. 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
Yeah, I'm going to invite you to check out our YouTube channel at The Fan Rochester on YouTube. Like and subscribe while you're there, and you could watch today's show at our conclusion. Andrew Mossbrooks, who you hear tonight on the call with Don Stevens, Rochester Americans hockey, coming up at 7 o'clock here on The Fan, sharing some of his bizarre food takes. No sauce on pizza. No sauce on pizza, no sauce
anywhere,
no spaghetti and meatballs, no red sauce. Won't do red sauce. And then we kind of grilled him on a couple of other things. You can check that out on our YouTube page.
And I love the idea. Next time he comes in. Here's a part. We normally come in the sports bar, we don't give you a parting gift. But I think we would. Like, you get a little lunchbox with a little thing of raisins. You know, the Sun-Made one with the Sun-Made.
Yeah, the red box of Sun-Made raisins.
Yeah, Sun-Made raisins.
A little Capri Sun.
Yeah. Lunchables.
Yeah, some Lunchables with turkey, maybe. Oh, maybe he doesn't eat turkey. That's a tough one. You know, just a little string cheese. Go throw a little string cheese. Maybe a go-go squeeze. Get some fruit in there.
Should we get him a Happy Meal?
Don't forget about the Ziploc bag of Cheerios. That's just a snack on throughout the course of the day.
Oh, you get ever those like orange slices where like they're in the the plastic there?
Oh yeah,
orange slices.
Yeah, some orange slices. That was fun though, having Mossbrooks in studio.
We hired a toddler.
Their words, Amber's words, not ours.
The folks outside of sports don't understand. This means you're actually accepted.
That's right. Bust chops. Got to bust chops. Looking forward to tonight's game. 7 o'clock, Blue Cross Arena. Belleville, the opponent. With the win, the Ambers clinch a playoff berth. And the one seed in the North is still very much up for grabs.
But don't talk about that.
We can talk about it.
We can talk about it. Seth ain't going to talk about it.
Yeah. That's 7 o'clock tonight. Your proud home of Rochester Americans hockey, The Fan Rochester. Ryan Talbot joined us last hour. Now, Ryan's done, as he does every year, exceptional work tracking down and sourcing all of the Buffalo Bills' top 30 prospect visitors. The latest being Keon Coleman, wide receiver out of Florida State, who was with the team today. We heard of Troy Franklin, Oregon wide receiver, was in the last couple of days. You can check out at NewYorkUpstate.com all of the prospects that the Bills have talked to, whether they be at the top 30 visit, whether they be at the Combine, whether they be at Senior Bowl, Zoom interview. Ryan's got them all.
Yeah, draft's going to come right up on us. As only 13 days from today, we'll have the first round. That is exciting indeed. Coming back on the show Monday, we will be talking to, we haven't had Jenna Cottrell on since the football season, so we'll get her thoughts, Buffalo Plus 13 Wham. And also Russell Brown, who studies all the draft prospects. Our buddy formerly of Cover One will be joining us here to give, look, I think we kind of dial it in on wide receiver, right? Like at this point. Like, give me the pros and cons of all these guys.
I can't rule out that they'll still go defense round one. I know we're very, very emotional right now because of the trade, and it's still a little bit raw.
Well, when Sean McDermott came in, he did a great job, certainly, with Poyer and Hyde in the back end, but they were already veterans in this league. They had already been around. The opportunity for Sean McDermott to select the Cooper DeJean and mold him, and they could talk about their wrestling days together.
Oh, boy.
Yes, that just seems process all over it.
Yeah, that is the musk that is attractive to Sean McDermott. Oh, you wrestled? Takes a different kind of mindset if you want to be a wrestler.
Let me tell you about this one man I pinned.
So Jenna will join us Monday, 3:25. Russell Brown will talk more NFL draft with the draft analyst of Fantasy Pros and Betting Pros. Russell Brown joins us at 4:25. That's coming up Monday.
Oh, Brandon Ayuk has unfollowed the 49ers on social media.
Boy, now he's done it. Now, what do we... Is that a Francesa?
Oh, who cares?
I think so.
Can I just say I don't... What it would take to get Brandon Ayuk? No, thank you.
Can't say never.
Yeah, well, never say never, but I'm just saying, would you give up?
Can't say it can't happen.
First round pick and then pay the money on top of that?
Can't say it can't happen.
To pay the money on top of that, that's why the Higgins and everything else, it just does not fit.
Can't say it can't happen.
You must have quit.
If we've learned anything, you can't say it can't happen. Oh, it can happen. Are they crazy enough to do it? That's the question. No, that's all right. Maybe something unfolds over the course of the weekend with the NFL. Maybe we get a trade or two. Maybe we get a T. Higgins long-term extension. Doubtful, but who knows? Stranger things have happened. We'll be back on Monday with a brand new show. Again, if you missed Ryan Talbot, if you missed Andrew Mossbrooks, the free-to-download Odyssey app, your one-stop shop for all things 95.7 The Fan, including the sports bar. Search us out. You'll find all of our guest appearances, our shows. You can go back and listen to with Rewind, any part of the show that you may have missed for the next 72 hours. And I mentioned the YouTube channel at The Fan Rochester. Don't forget, we stream the show on Twitch every afternoon as well, twitch.tv/The Fan Rochester if you want to watch the sports bar live.
We've got St. John Fisher lacrosse tomorrow. So
what's the forecast?
Your forecast is not good. Forecast is not. It's not a yard work weekend, Danger, which, all right, I guess I'm okay with since you've seen the Masters is on.
You got your rain gear ready to go?
I'm in the press box. I don't have to worry about it.
You're fine? You're good?
Yeah.
All right. Gene will be on the call. That's 1 o'clock tomorrow?
1 p.m.
1 p.m. here on The Fan. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the Masters. We'll be back to talk about it all on Monday starting at 3 on The Fan Rochester.
It's that time again.